shall we say? But we'll find out tonight. I'll try to remain impartial because I've also known of this gentleman for quite a long time. I'll just put my camera on. So there we go. Now I'm down at the coast at the moment. There's a big swell running. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Good to see all the people out.
What, Nara?
No.
Well,
it's not even on the coast.
Well, it is.
It's not.
Well, sort of.
It's sort of not.
Sort of is.
Sort of isn't.
It'll be inland. Sort of, kind of.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. Well, where I am now, I can see the waves breaking, and I can guarantee you, if that was happening in Nowra, there'd be a lot of Australia would be in a hell of a lot of trouble.
It's true. Well, I got 17 beaches, so I don't worry, get myself too excited about that.
Well, we got 7 beaches here.
Where are you?
In an undisclosed location.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, so I was just saying it's really good to be down at the beach, and there's a nice nor'easter blowing, and the sea's rolling in, and all the people down there wearing their masks and enjoying the fresh air. It's good to see.
At the beach, at the
good to see. A lot of people from Canberra, I think. A lot of people from Canberra come down, and yeah.
Don't
they
start
like to wear their masks out in the ocean air. Encouraging to see. It just shows you don't need that many brain cells to keep functioning. At some level. At some level. So
are you serious? They're down at the beach with masks on.
Yeah, not everybody, but some peanuts.
They're flipping fools, aren't they?
I tell you the ones that I actually feel badly for, and that's when I see people that are well and truly into their 80s, they might even be approaching 90s, and they're arm in arm supporting each other and both wearing a mask. And I think that it's absolutely criminal, absolutely criminal to be scaring those people.
Yeah, they've been scared out of their mind. You should see the precious gems here.
Hang on, somebody just made a comment. It would have been sarcastic. Careful with the mask comments, Stephen. I recall being aligned with bigots over such comments.
No second prizes.
Well, but by who?
Well, if someone's taken the mickey out of you over the mask.
Yeah. Well, I don't care actually. If people can't take 3 minutes to do some research and find out how significantly bad a mask is for your health, or they're just going to be an order follower, in either way, I don't care what they think.
Well, you know as well as I do with my wonderful chest, and not in doubt, it's just the lungs. The most damage you can do within about 2 weeks, CO2, you turn into a CO2 retainer. And if you look up and you find out that's all wearing a mask, and if you look up what a CO2 retainer is, you can be dead.
Yep.
The minute you go to sleep.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say it lightly. Just be very careful wearing masks. It's not okay. It's very dangerous.
Well, not to mention the damage that you're doing to your brain. Yeah. Increasing the ratio of oxygen to, the carbon dioxide.
That's how you get that's what happens. The CO2 starts floating into your brain and you start losing memory, blah, blah, blah.
It's a shame they can't even get to the point where they lose their memory about why they're wearing a mask and stop doing it. So anyway, they're little things, but I think I've made a sort of it's not a New Year's resolution because I don't believe in them, but it happened to coincide with that time of the year. And I thought, I've been polite to people for so long, such a long time, didn't seem to help. Doesn't seem to have made a lot of difference. So I've decided I'm not going to have polite as being my leading motivation when I'm talking to people anymore. And I might, if I could create some controversy somewhere, or controversy, as Rex Messup used to say, but people aren't old enough to know who I'm even talking about, except for Arlen. He might know, but he's in the wrong state, so he wouldn't. They don't have rugby league. So, yeah, controversy corner. Speaking of controversy.
I used to know Rex, Stephen.
Oh, Rex Messup?
Yeah, Dad used to play footy with him.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, he was an interesting character.
Very
It
good.
was
Thanks,
very,
David.
very interesting. Yeah, so I think that don't be afraid of having a little bit of controversy. Now, you don't have to sort of go out and call people names or whatever, but I think right now we've got people that after certain events occurred in Queensland, there's been a little bit of scaremongery put out there to try and stop people from expressing their opinions. You know, we'll lock you up for having an opinion. Well, I mean, what are we going to do? At some point, I think the majority of the people in this room could consider that they'd end up on some sort of a watch list. You're not going to be the favourites of the alleged
Actually, we are already.
or the purported government. Well, I'd be disappointed if I wasn't, because I have been working hard. So it's, I'd like to attract some sort of an audience.
They want to know what this old precious gem's doing amongst you lot, you know. They just go, oh my God, who's the old possum?
Who are you referring to? Is there somebody in the room I haven't seen?
Myself.
Oh, yourself.
And I'm talking about the Gestapo that's got us labelled as terrorists.
Yeah, it's funny when terrorists are calling people terrorists, particularly those ones who aren't even really aware. Now, I noticed that Dick has entered the room.
Here. Oh, hello, Mr. Dick.
So
Happy New Year to you.
I've asked him to unmute himself, but he might have forgotten how. It's been a long time.
Stephen, can I just add something, like just from my observations? I don't know what other people are observing, but nearly everyone in our town, you can see the degeneration of people. You can see the sickness in their face, the colour, the way they walk, the deadpan look, the eyes, the inability to, you know, to think clearly, the amount of ambulances, you know, circulating the streets. You know, I think 2023 is going to be.
Excuse me, Nina, just so people have not everybody, like most people will know you, but some people won't. You don't just mind telling us who you are to even have an opinion on people's health?
Okay. So, hi, everyone, those that don't know me, and those of you that do, hello. So I'm Nina Di Giulia. I was a 32-year registered nurse. In fact, I was a clinical nurse consultant in Parkinson's disease. So I'm seeing the prion disease that was spoken about very early in the piece regarding these jabs. So I sit in and I have a background in being in local politics as well. So yeah, so I know a lot of people in my town, and I guess I'm sitting in a cafe speaking to lots of people during the day in between seeing clients in my clinic. And yeah, just the obvious degeneration of humanity. It's really it's in our faces. So I feel 2023 is going to be a year where we're going to be there's going to be a lot of grief for all of us. So it's preparing our minds and our hearts and our bodies for what may be coming for us, so that we can, you know, look after each other and counsel each other in the next year ahead. So I just wanted to share that, and whether anyone else has seen or experienced any of this in their communities as well. Yeah,
well, I've got right now, there's a next door neighbour who's got pneumonia, also got no energy, and she's got sore legs and whatever, but has been sick for the last 9-10 months that I can just think of off the top. I wouldn't have had a week of wellness. But just when there's a couple of things from what you said. So it's a feeling of grief.
But debriefing
within myself, it's probably more akin to anger. Now, partly directed at the people who may have dropped off the perch, but also to the people that have put them in that situation, and also to the fact that we can't get to them. So the grief thing, I'm sure part of that's sort of a grief thing, but in a lot of ways, through things that have happened over the years, which, you know, why I've been following this path for a long time, like before COVID came along, you sort of, well, I'm able to sort of, I haven't lost my empathy for people, but the grief thing doesn't tear at me anymore. Like I didn't, and there'd be other people that could identify with this for their own reason, but like when you get your children taken away from you, you don't see them for 7 years. But if you live in that grief, it'll kill you. it'll destroy you, or it'll turn you into something unrecognizable as to what you would have been. So there's a way of thinking, a way of getting your head in the right space where you're not damaging yourself through what you're witnessing around you. There's a lot of frustration, but we've got to make sure that, because our thoughts are things, that we don't live with thoughts that are destroying our own resonance and having us operate on a different frequency where we can induce the sickness in ourselves. Because I think some of this within the communities, some of what's being radiated from person to person is through frequency. It's not through a physical molecule as such, but more through a resonance. And if your aerial's not in the right state, you can pick them up, and then you can absorb their signal, and you too can become sick. So I don't profess to be an expert in what I'm talking about. It's just from all the information you take in, it's a concept that's sort of evolved in my mind from different things, particularly in relation to the graphene and turning people into transmitters and aerials, that sort of thing. And then you've got the 5G. So everything that carries through, it's just a good saturation bed for carrying a signal.
But Nina made a very good point there, Stephen, talking about the seniors or people in the communities showing deterioration. Yes. And the body language has a major effect when you walk around and you can see, you know, what's going on. I've noticed, particularly this Christmas, people I know quite well who suffered immensely. It's sad. It's, you know, people are passing, and yeah, we're going to have to be here for one another, and a lot of debriefing is going to have to go on, because, you know, when we go back out of here, we've got to be there for the people that we can help.
Yeah, look, now I just mentioned to people too, if you want to have something to say, if you've got an opinion or whatever, everybody's encouraged to speak, ask questions, to participate. And you'll notice in the chat that everybody can communicate with each other. When we get into the body proper of the meeting, I'd ask if people could sort of communicate about what we're talking about rather than outside things. And I ask that people don't spend ages promoting other sites and doing that sort of stuff, unless it's relevant to what we're talking about. Now, when you want to speak, if you go to the reactions box at the bottom of your screen, click on the reactions box. There's an option there to raise your hand. If you raise your hand, you come up on my screen in order, and I'll take people in order. Not always exactly when you put your hand up, but if you're patient, you will get there. Excuse me, just a moment. I've got Michael Nibbs on.
Turn your lawnmower off, Steve.
All right, mate. If it hasn't turned up in a couple of minutes, I'll ring you.
Yep, all good. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate. Catch.
Okay, that was Michael Nibbs. Apparently my secretary didn't send him an invite to the meeting. But, that's the secretary. So things haven't improved. So he should be here very shortly. I can see Craig's in the room. So welcome to you, Craig. 7:48. We'll definitely kick off proper for 8. Now, is Dick, are you in the room?
Yeah, I'm in the room.
You are there. Oh, that's good. Just because I called
quietly.
I changed somebody's name to Dick Yardley, and I just hope it was you. So otherwise I'd be getting no response. So how was
they
your
wouldn't be very happy with that.
So how was your break, mate? Did you enjoy some time off?
Good. Yeah, no, it's time to sort of just relax a bit, work in the garden and keep things going, and yeah.
Yeah. So have you make any amazing revelations over the break that we had?
I just found out another sly, dirty, stinking way people do things in one regard. In if you go into the, we talk about it quite often, Section 13 of the Australia Act's Request Act, and it's in the Australia Act as well. It's referendum entrenched, but that's when Queensland locked the Queen into Queensland.
Yep.
And then when you go into where the political parties, all states removed, took out the, what do you call it, the Church of England, the Defender of the Faith, out of all the states, which removed all our rights to everything, basically. It clicked on my mind again, Queensland. I can remember finding it many, many years ago, because I generally find things in Queensland first, and then I've traced things to other states to see what the hell's happened there, to see if because we're all doing the same bloody thing. It doesn't matter whether it's Queensland or Western Australia, we're all doing the same thing. But when you work out all the territories and the acts of states that took out the Defender of the Faith of the Queensland, I can remember when we first found it, it never had an act number. Now, every act has an act number. So I went back, and it was in 1977 as well. I went back to the whole year of 1977 and went through it. And it wasn't in any of all the act numbers. I got right to the very end, and here it is. And there's another couple of acts there as well, but they never put numbers on them. But the date was there. And the date that they locked the Queen into Queensland, and they got a proclamation for that as well, signed by England. But the date that the act went through is the same date they took the Queen out. This is how slimy these bastards are. Like the Constitutional Amendment Act of 1977 locked the Queen into Queensland, then sent the proclamation to England to get it signed off, which it got signed off, and came back. But on that same date that they put the act through Parliament, it was on the 5th of the 4th, 1977, they did a backdoor act with no number, but on the 5th of the 4th, 1977, and removed the title of the Church of England, taking the Defender of the Faith out.
Yep.
How slimy can you get?
Yeah. Now we've got a few
in the front door they put it in, and in the back door they take it out.
So Dick, we've got a few people in the room. I can tell by the different names that might be not be as familiar as some others with the things that you're talking about. So, what's the significance of the Defender of the Faith?
The Defender of the Faith is all our titles to our land, or our used to be, our titles to the land was governed and protected by the Defender of the Faith, which is the Church of England.
Yeah.
This is why the states in the Commonwealth in 1973 removed, humbly relying on the blessings of Almighty God, which removed the enacting manner and form, which removed the crown, which is the Church of England. And they removed that in the very first act of 1973. And then between the years of, I'll just put a judge, about 1975 to about 1980, every state and every territory removed those rights to our land. That when we became to the sovereign independent federal nation, which was created by the treasonous political parties in 1973, and then the states joined that system Victoria joined it in 1975, but the rest of the states joined it in 1985, the sovereign independent federal nation. Well, in the sovereign independent federal nation, you can't have a Defender of the Faith because you're sovereign independent. You're not a constitutional monarchy. They've created that, and then in the process of doing that, they've taken all the ownership of land.
Yep.
It's a dirty, stinking, lying system.
And I noticed there's a comment in the chat that says, I'm pretty sure Joe B. Double, which I think might be Joe Bajorki Peterson, entrenched, started in 71, entrenched in 76, Queen can't be removed from Queensland.
Yes, it was actually in 1977 he put that law through. I think it's Act number 9 of 1977. He guaranteed it, but there was a lot behind the scene. I'm not saying that Bjelke is free, because I can't prove that he's not, or that he is, but I know there was a lot, like there was Bjelke and the Premier of Western Australia were at loggerheads with what was happening in Canberra at the time, and there was a lot of trouble going on between them, and Queensland and Western Australia locked the Queen into Queensland. I mean, and Queensland and Western Australia locked the Queen into Western Australia as well, because that Section 13 of the Australia Acts Request Act, which was done by every state, was, and Section 13 was for Queensland constitutional, where we locked the Queen into Queensland, and Section 14 is where Western Australia had locked the Queen into Western Australia, and both those acts stipulate that if you don't have because they're referendum entrenched, if you don't have a referendum, the act is void. So that voids the Australia Acts Request Act and Australia Act, both are void. Plus the Australia Act was done under political parties' definition of Australia. So the whole Australia system is total corruption, but it just annoys me that, like what I'm pulling up here, is that there was, you go in the front door and we've locked her in, we've sent the proclamation to England, we've got it signed off, it's done, locked, sealed, bang, finished. Then you go, years later, you pick up an act that doesn't have a number, and then eventually you find out why it doesn't have a number. But the date of the act is the same date as when they locked her in. And then when you go out the back door, the people at the back door took her out.
So when you say they locked her in, that was the Queen with the correct title?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so...
and they locked, see, that's when they locked all the signet and everything in, and that's why in the Australia Acts Request Act, they removed all the signets.
Yeah.
And remember, and they removed the signet for the Governor-General so they could take over the Governor-General. And this is a whole system of the changeover of time. It's all done by slimy people.
So in a way, isn't that also sort of an acknowledgement that the Queen of Australia is a fraud, that they've got that confirmed within their own documentation?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Oh, that's James. Right. It's James there, Dick.
Yeah.
Go ahead, James.
So
yeah, that's correct what he just said there. Mel went down from one of the court cases when she was down Brisbane, went and got all this documentation from the Brisbane State Library, and the librarian worked with Melissa for about a week, and yeah, got all this confirmation about did it go to the Privy Council, did it get gazetted, etc., etc. Because she's fighting it that way in her case, and that's all correct what he's saying there. And I can't, what I wanted to butt in, I want if Dick is available on the 31st of January, I'm trying to get Mick Arnott to come down and pick you up, Dick, if you want to come to my court case and see how this all goes down, because we've already got the documentation. It's the second day of trial. So if you want to come and see what happens in that court, you're quite welcome, and I can get Mick to come and pick you up so you don't have to drive.
Oh, I can drive. It's only to Gympie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only 30 minutes down the road.
Yeah. So it's on the 31st.
No problem. I can get there. Can you just turn around and send me an email on everything on that, please?
Yeah. And we wanted to catch up with you and come and have a coffee or whatever, and get that data dump. But Mel's got a heap of stuff she wants to show you as well. She's just down in Brisbane. My daughter's having a baby, so she's looking after
Ah.
the other baby while she's having the baby. So she won't be
Yep.
back until probably Tuesday next week. So
Yeah,
I'll
that's
give
all
you
right.
I'll give you a contact and yeah, I'll come down and see you because yeah, I'm friends with Mick Arnup and all that, and he said he's been down there and knows where you live and stuff, so he can give me the address.
Mick and Nick, are you
Yeah.
referring to?
Yeah,
Yeah, they've been here. They know where we are.
yeah, okay. So I'll get in contact with you when Mel gets back, and we'll come straight down as soon as she comes back and have a chat, and she can show you what she's found and all that stuff because they just
Yep.
accepted in her case. They took her 12 times last year to the Brisbane court, and they didn't know how to deal with her. And every time she's in court, she asks them questions, but she's just hit them up with an affidavit, 174 pages, all about the seals. She's put the judge on notice in that document twice. He said, I even see you put me on notice here, Melissa, and she says, no disrespect, Your Honour, but I have the right to know. So yeah, she's got a pretty heavy duty document in the Brisbane court at the moment. And she goes back in March. So she just wants to yeah, show you what she's done and whatnot and get your opinion on it, okay?
Yep, not a problem.
No
Like I
worries,
said before, just bring a clean stick with you, and we'll just stick it in the computer, and whatever's on my computer you want is yours.
Yep. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, we just want to run a few things by you before we actually go into battle.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
this
that's
means
no
a lot
problem.
to us and Queensland. And
Yep,
we've got all the
yep.
right documents in there, so we just want to tell you how we're going to play it and how we're going to try and snooker them in the corner so they can't get out.
Sounds good. Just make sure you.
The only document that I worry about that you've put in is that petition of rights, because there's that many holes in that document.
Yeah, but we didn't use the whole document.
That one
We've
really
only
worries
used
me.
certain parts of it
Yeah.
that are applicable to our case, not the whole thing.
Yeah, you were going to send that document to me, James. I don't think I've got it yet.
Yeah, I'll get Mel onto it, bro. I don't do emails or anything like that. I don't even have an email address. I've got one, but I wouldn't know it. So, yeah,
Okay.
Mel does all that side of it.
If you wouldn't mind, because I think we can have a look at, like, Dick's busy with lots of other things, but it's 119 pages. But if we have a look at it and see where we can make it more concise, they can't afford to join with it at any level, but we like being more correct than they worry about. So anyway, we've got some people in the room that we need to move on to. So if we can do that, that'll be good. And now, normally the meetings go for 2 hours, and sometimes they go for 2 hours twice in the one night, and we call that 4 hours, and we have been known to go over 6. We won't be doing that tonight. So we're going to try not to make a habit of that this year, but sometimes we get some very interesting topics and we move through them, and tonight should be no exception. Now, notice Michael Nibbs has come into the room. I can see Craig Oldroyd here. Sorry, Craig. And just looking for David. I haven't seen David come in as yet, but I did speak to him a little bit earlier. So just to remind people that we're going to be going through some information, and we'll see how that goes. We haven't been rehearsing or saying how we're going to do things or whatever, but it's in relation to some claims being made by Jagamara representing T.A.P, the Australia project. And I think people need to maybe be aware that there's more than one side. And I also would give Jagamara the opportunity to state his case. More so, because when none of us are there firsthand, we don't know what's what. So we'll look at that. But I've I've had interactions with Jagamara, shall we say, over the last 13 years or so. I have a good essence of who he is. But what I'll do, just while Michael's getting ready and Craig's getting ready, and we'll give just a chance for David to get here, I'll just share my screen and I'll show you the thing that we're talking about right here. So this is, we're not looking to advertise, but this is Triple Tap team interview with Jagamara. Now, from memory, it's up around 54 minutes, somewhere around there. So I'll just start playing that.
David Cole, Mark McMurtry have been moved to the side. David Cole was assaulted, bashed in Central Desert, payback by traditional mobs out there, shooting his mouth off, calling himself a red band in front of everyone. He got payback in the desert. That's why he's not on, you don't see him on Facebook no more. He's hiding his face from, they knocked him out 3 times, woke him up, knock him out again. 3 times they did that to teach him a lesson.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty full on. They don't muck around out there, hey. And
Jagger,
so,
what have you got in the West, Jagger? Have you forgotten about us Westies over here?
in the West, I've actually got 4 groups in the West I'm dealing with right now.
Is one of them the
And
Bibleman?
also the Kimberleys as well.
Is one of them the Bibleman, Jagger?
The
Bibleman tribe?
Bibleman. Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. I've got a list of tribes out Western Australia that I'm dealing with right now. But I'm asking them to get me the genealogy now, because I'm saying to everyone, without seeing the genealogy of the people who are the bloodline, where you can see what they call the king's plates and queen's plates, because this is what we found, that when the stolen generation, it was not.
I'll just stop that there. Oops, stop the share. Sorry about that. Okay, now hopefully people can see and hear that. Michael, I ask you to unmute, please, while you're there. Craig, I'll ask you to unmute as well. And before you gentlemen start to speak, I'll just remind people that if you want to ask a question, you've got something pertinent to add, if you go to the reactions at the bottom of the screen, you have the option to raise your hand. And if you do that, you come up on my screen in order, and you will get to speak. Now, somebody's just put listen, don't put comments in the chat that I'm going to bring up. So the reason why I went through the section where Jagamara was talking about the importance of genealogy is because somebody should be looking at Jagamara's genealogy. There's a big chance that people made some assumptions as to Jagamara's genealogy, and a big chance that they're not aware of which island he originates from. So I'll just leave that that way. Michael, are you able to unmute? There you go.
Yeah, that.
You're here.
Yep.
All good. Great to see you, mate. Although that was your ear I was looking at, I think.
I'm just trying to get out so I can hear you probably on loudspeaker, mate. So.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see how your sound quality goes. I think Craig is there. If you want to say hello to Craig.
G'day, brother. How you going, Nibbs?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, bro.
Okay. Now, do we know where Dave is?
Well, I thought he was going to be on, but I'm not sure.
I did too, and I was only talking to him an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, he messaged me, said he was getting on, so something must have happened. But I'm happy to talk if you want me to talk, but I'm not going to talk about Jagamara because it's a waste of my time, to be quite honest with you. What I'm happy to talk to you about is. Oh, I've got a bit of an echo.
Michael, you might need to turn off your camera for your audio to work better, mate.
Yeah, okay. I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I think, Craig, the only purpose for putting Jagamara there is, like, in one way, when you put a spotlight on somebody, you might be sort of promoting them. But what we're trying to do is make people more aware of what he's not, because he's misrepresenting things, and I think he's got the potential to do a lot of damage to a lot of good people who haven't been in this arena for a long period of time and don't have the depth of knowledge that you would have. And I have a level of knowledge, wouldn't be to the depth of yours, but even I'm aware of the fraud that's being presented to the people. And it's we need as many people going the same direction to get to the same goal as possible. Yeah. And when people just, because they lack knowledge, are being swept up and being led in a false direction, But what it has the effect of doing is dividing us. It weakens us, because I don't know what it's like where you live, and your community may be different to where I am, but I don't think I could look at a house around me now and see another home that's got anybody that thinks like I think, all right, or has the same sort of perspective. And so we need as many people as we can get. And the reason why he's been put up is I believe that he's saying things that aren't true about David Cole. But obviously I wasn't there, I don't know. But David should be the best one to be able to explain whether what he said was accurate or not. And I think when we move forward, we've got to be able to move forward with truth. That's got to be, and it's got to be the correct sort of intention, and that doesn't align to me with the right intention. I'll put it to you that way.
I can't speak for David Cole. I can only speak for myself. I've known David Cole since I was 4 years old, and I grew up with David Cole, lived on the streets here in Darwin, and pretty much known him my whole life. So I can say that he's an integral man, and he's got the best interests of heart of all the people in this country and right around the world who are fighting for their freedom. So, you know, hey, yeah, look, everybody makes mistakes, but you know, look, I can't speak for what Jagamara said. David Cole's going to have to talk about that stuff. All I know is that I saw David Cole in Alice Springs, and I saw him when he came back, and there was not a mark on his body. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Yep. No, that's fair enough. Hello. We've got somebody in here. Now, we could play This Is Your Life. Now, I'm going to play a voice for you, see if you recognise it. So, where is he? Lymbery. Now, straight up, just asking Lymbery to unmute. So, I'll just tell you, I'm not, when it comes to culture, I'm still well and truly learning. All right. So it's not my intention to offend or to say the wrong sort of thing, but if I do and I need educating in that area, I appreciate being pulled up. I speak with Michael Nibbs a lot, so I'm used to being corrected.
Yeah,
me too.
Nibbs, he doesn't hold back and correcting anyone, brother.
No, and
including the Governor General and the Prime Minister.
Yeah, thank you, Lymbery. So,
how are you, brother?
I'm very well, very well. It was great to meet you this afternoon. Thanks for spending a bit of time with me. On
yeah,
the
no worries, man.
Just getting to get an essence of each other, because I've only seen you on the big screen before, mate. See, no, I haven't seen you on the little screen.
Yeah. No, good to talk to you, brother. Good to talk.
Now, we want to get. We're not trying to highlight Jagamara, put him on a pedestal or anything at all like that. But we've got some issues we need to deal with. Did you see the video that I spoke of earlier?
Yeah. I watched. I didn't watch the whole video. I did watch the section where he's discredited me and made some slanderous and defamatory claims. Yeah. So look, I don't want to give him any time either. He's not worth it. Anybody who's acting in a fraudulent manner, deceiving people, there for their own self-intent, they don't deserve any time. So, but I'm more interested in clarifying my position so that I can put to rest some of the stuff that people are concerned about in relation to things that him and other people may have said. So,
okay,
mate,
I'm an open book. Let me stop you right there. So that's all good. Now, if anybody in the room thinks what you're saying is not correct, or that you're sort of, putting a bit of sugar on it or something like that, they're more than welcome to ask you a question or to state what they think. Is that fair enough?
100%, and not just for what I might state, but any questions people have got that have been slung around that need clarification, because we don't have time for this stupidity. We're fighting against a massive enemy that has unlimited resources. It has everything at its disposal. People like you, like me, like Nibbsy, like Damon, everyone else in this whole thing, are not being paid for what we do. We don't have the resources. We don't have everything at our disposal, and we have limited time, and we're fighting for the children and for our future generations. So, to be honest, brother, I don't have time for this stupidity, but I'm happy for anyone to ask anything to do with absolutely anything, so we can clear the air and get focused on the job at hand and taking our freedom for everybody. So yeah,
Okay,
mate, I'm an open book, and people can ask me anything they want.
That's good, because I'll let them. Now, and that's what people need to realize. No one's censored in here. There's other groups that are doing all sorts of meetings, and nobody is allowed to participate, ask a question. They can't even chat to each other. You'll notice in this room, I keep control of the microphones, but that's just so people can hear each other. We don't want to have background noises and dogs barking and phones going off, except for mine, and all that sort of thing. All right. So I had a thread that I just lost, but I will pick it up again. I will pick it up again in a moment. So what we're really looking to do, and I want to introduce Dick Yardley to you as well. But what we really want to do here is there's a lot of good people that lack knowledge and the experience to even know what questions to ask. And we want to make sure that those people are heading in the right sort of direction. And if we can expose a fraud somewhere that stops people from participating with a fraud because now they have better knowledge, and then they can choose a path that's going to serve the population of this country and ultimately the world, I suppose, in a better way, that's really what we're about. So this isn't about destruction, this is about construction and about getting people together instead of having division, and the division maintained by lies and misrepresentation of the facts. Now, while we're here, Lurnpa, Craig, have both of you gentlemen, have you met or spoken with Dick Yardley before?
I haven't, but I've been waiting to meet him and speak with him for a very long time. So yeah, excited.
Hey, we're all in this together.
I've met Dick. I read his book.
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't met him in person.
Which one did you read?
Treason, Treachery, and Sabotage.
Is that a book or a PDF?
No, it's a book. I bought the book.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my book starts at the forward.
Yep.
The people who published that put some crap in the front of it.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that. Now I do.
Okay, so if people are trying
I start at the forward, and we put, if you go to the very first page of the forward, we put a paragraph in there, so to sort of, we thought people would sort of lock onto that first up, but I find not many people have. But it's sort of, how would you put it? It just explains the system in 5 or 6 lines. So if you can get your head around that, then reading the book is simpler.
Yep.
You get what I mean?
Yep, I do.
Okay.
It sort of gives you an opening. Hopefully, opens your mind up to what's happening, what's inside. But anyway, yeah, that's a good start.
I've been using it in the court.
Oh, right.
Yes, actually, it's been used in other court cases, and one bloke, he pushed for 5 days for the court so he could read the whole damn thing into court, and the judge allowed him to read so much, and then she just turned around and cancelled the case out. She didn't want any more, and he had a jury the whole lot. She just cancelled the case out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what we'll do, we can have more pleasantries a little later. But what we'll do is we'll hear from Lurnpa now in relation to what we started talking about and the claims that have been made against you.
Well, look, I'll start with what was in the interview in relation to me allegedly being beaten up by 3 tribes and knocked out 3 times at this Jagamara claims. Firstly, I'll start with this. Gary Simons is his name. Jagamara is a tribal name that was given to him when he went through ceremony, which is basically just a small part of going through our law and our culture. He's not a tribal man. He's not bloodline to this country. He was taken through ceremony a long time ago by my Jamal, a senior lawman on Walpry land. But he's been doing the wrong thing. He's been breaking our law. I won't get into it because I can't talk about it on here, but I'll just keep it short. This man has been breaking our law, and I was asked by Simon Fisher, a Walpry senior lawman, to go and shut him down and tell him to stop practicing Walpry law on Midjinbul country and taking non-tribal people through Walpry law on Midjinbul country and then calling them lawmen. And he's charging money for this stuff. Everything he does, he charges money. So this man is a fraud beyond your imagination. Him with Doug Williams, a guy called Bluey, also tried to access $100 million out of the tribal people's repatriation accounts in Switzerland.
May I stop you? That Bluey, does he have a tribal background or not?
No, Bluey's not a tribal man either.
Is his last name Morgan?
Yes, Kevin Morgan.
So it's Kevin John Morgan.
That's him.
Yeah,
yep.
Bloody hell. How did he get mixed up with? Oh.
Well, look. Let me tell you how I met him. I early in the process of realizing that something was really wrong. But my background is I've been a youth worker for the last 29, 30 years. 27 years ago, I set out to set up a foundation to heal our kids up here, because in Darwin we have the highest youth suicide rate per capita in the world. So once I realized the high levels of abuse within the system, and once I tried to expose that and the system cut our funding, I went in search of, well, what's the truth? Who are you? Well, I only had two questions. Why would you cut funding to a program that saves kids' lives, and who are you? Once I realized they were a corporation, and that's when I came across the sovereign argument, meeting Mark McMurtry, who educated me very clearly on our position. The notice of rebuttal that he did is been served for the past 15 years in every jurisdiction on this continent is unrebutted. So I knew our sovereign position was correct. But before I actually met Mark and realized that, I was looking for anything. I actually rang around the country to every Aboriginal lawyer in the country and asked them if they'd take on a case for genocide for stealing our kids. Every single one of them tucked their tail and ran. I rang. Then my Jamal put me on to Mark. I rang Mark, and not only did he stand up and assist me to help the kids, but he educated me on our sovereign position. But prior to that, I was so desperate to find an answer for the children, and not just the tribal children, but the white children as well. I got introduced to Bluey, who stayed with me for 5 days and was educating me on this quantum grammar stuff. Now, during that time, he advised me that he went to Switzerland with Gary Simons, Doug Williams, a Māori bloke, I can't remember his name, and another white fella. And they tried to access $100 million out of the repatriation accounts for the tribes, and they were chased out of. But by the way, they stole Mark McMurtry's laptop in order to do that. They were trying to get the account details. Mark recovered his laptop. They did have account details from him, but he gave them. He left 4 numbers out of the account details. So they've raced off there to try and grab this money and steal this money to set up a bank. Right, this is the character of Gary Simons. They were going to get $100 million to set up what they called the Lotus Bank, so they could loan money back to the tribal people for businesses at a low interest rate. So they were going to get our money to set up a bank to loan money to us, so we would pay them a low interest rate so we could run business. Now, you don't want to know what I said to Bluey, but I wasn't happy. Now, that's the caliber of these type of characters. Gary Simons also tried to ask my Jamal, and I was with him at the time, and I read the message. He also tried to ask my Jamal on or around 2014, 15, for my Jamal to sign off on Gary Simons being the signatory for the Swiss Endo Gold for all the tribes in Australia. All right. And my Jamal said no, he wouldn't do that. Now, this guy's been breaching our tribal law. I sat with a tribal elder, and I've spoken to elders in the desert today, and have given me permission to mention this. This elder, he's passed now, but I was sitting in ceremony with him with witnesses there, and it was made clear to him what this Gary Simons has been doing in relation to breaking our law. And the elder that I sat with said, then we take that back and we strip him of anything he has. Now I can't deal with him. It's for Warlpiri people to deal with him. They have to deal with him, and I can't get involved with that. So I'm going to leave the tribal stuff there. But my point is this: the bloke is a fraud. He chases money. He's deceiving people. He's telling people in Cabarita. He walks around with a kangaroo skin wrapped around him, calling himself a healer. He did some healing on a lady and snapped her neck, nearly paralyzed her. She's still injured today. He's staying at a place in Cabarita unlawfully on Midjambul country, and he's not welcome there. And the place he's staying at, they're actually manufacturing drugs there. So if we're going to talk about people's characters, I've not bothered to slander anyone or have a go at anyone, but this guy keeps putting out stuff. And once but if he's going to publicly talk law business, then he needs to shut his mouth. He needs to come to the desert and sit with me there with the law people, if he's got the courage to do that.
Yep.
So the character in the guy is one that you cannot trust, and you've got these other people who are interviewing him, thinking he's all this and he's all that. He's a fraud. He's a bluff. He chases money. There's a lot of stuff that I won't say on here because I don't want to get into the detail of it. But the guy's character, I would have nothing to do with him every day of the week. So this stuff about me being bashed by tribal people, I haven't been to the desert for since we had the Wittichin thing. I wasn't bashed then. I haven't been bashed since. And actually, I spoke to elders today, and they laughed at his suggestion that I've been bashed by tribes in the desert. Nobody's bashed me. Nobody's touched me. Nobody's touched Mark. Nobody's threatened Mark or myself in relation to OSTF and all the work that we've done. In fact, the people in the desert are so happy with the work that we've done that they're all on board. They're all on board to walk with us. But I can assure you that fraudsters like that might have one person sitting in Yuendamu that supports him, and that's all he's got, is one person that he's got bluffed. The other elders there have told me to stand him down, which I did. I went and did it to him face to face in Cabarita. I told him that you've got to stop doing what you're doing with our law. You're breaking our law. The guy is so arrogant, he doesn't care. He continues. He causes a lot of injury, harm, and loss to people through his fraud. And I can tell you that he's just chasing money. Him, Doug Williams, and this Bluey and Kevin Morgan and these other people who went to try and access our money are all nothing but money chasers. So if you want to talk character assassination, let's talk real. I'm transparent. I've got nothing to hide. I've never received and both Mark McMurtry and Craig on here right now will tell you that I've never ever taken $1 from anybody other than people who've assisted me. Friends and family. I've never taken $1 in this whole movement for one thing. This bloke is a fraud, and I'm just going to tell people straight: stay away from Gary Simons. Stay away from anything that he proposes. He is a dangerous man. He is not bloodline to this country. Do you understand? He can't speak for this country. He can't speak for our tribe. His law status was stripped from him in ceremony when I sat with an elder. He told me, well, then we take back what we gave him. So you can't speak for us anymore. Be quiet. Stop discrediting people to try and make yourself look like you're all important, right? And if you want to speak, go back to wherever your country is, overseas, and speak for there. Don't speak for the tribal lands here. And if you want to walk with the tribes, you walk with them respectfully, like there's good people on this post, and you do it honorably. So that's it, brother. I'll just break it down, keep it real simple. I don't want to get into too long because the guy doesn't deserve too much of my energy.
No, that's all right. But we needed to clear the air now. You know that this meeting's recorded, and
absolutely,
you know that I publish the meetings. Do you have a problem with that?
Not at all. Put it out publicly and send it to Gary for me.
Oh, geez, I hate it when people order me to do stuff.
No, I'm not telling you. I'm just joking.
No, mate, look, I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing, mate. I'm not arguing. If that's what I'm going to do.
You have my permission to put everything I'm saying. Mate, you have my permission to put everything I'm saying out. There's nothing I'm saying that I can't back. I can't speak for Mark, but I can assure you that everything Mark has told me, multiple people have confirmed, and what Gary Simons, Doug Williams, and multiples of other people have done to him and OSTF over the years has been detrimental to holding back the tribe's freedom and in effect holding back the Australian people's freedom. So if people are going to be hoodwinked by his smooth tongue and his bullshit talk, I assure you, you're going to end up in a pit of misery. And don't say I didn't warn you. And that's my only warning and last warning to everybody. Stay away from Gary Simons. He's a fraud.
Gary Simons, who also goes by the name of Jagamara.
Jagamara, that name, the eldest stripped him of that name when I was sitting in ceremony. He said, we take his name and we take what we gave him. If he's doing those things, breaching our law, then we take that back from him.
Okay. Now, you said something before, which you said it wasn't your place because it's something that the Warlpiri had to do, which just leads me to a question. So if the Aborigine people are going to do something, we've got all different tribes, but to put it the way that I sort of comprehend it, do all tribes, north, south, east, and west, have to come together and sort that stuff out together and then make a decision with a consensus of the tribes? It's not up to, it's like, for example, you can't say, look, this is what we've got to do. I'm starting it all. And then you invite them to join you. Like, is there a protocol that's involved for the people to get together?
Absolutely. Look, there's a protocol. Look, I for example, for me, I'm living on Larrakia country. I can't speak for Larrakia country. I'm not bloodline for this country. I can speak for the children. I can speak for our overall sovereignty, but I can never speak for Larrakia country. Even though my wife and my children are bloodline to here, I still can't speak for this country. I can only speak for Luricha and Wambaya. That's my bloodline. But what I do have is power of attorney given to me by my late father, the planetary Yidaki healer for the planet and the water, Mr. Gudawiwi. Okay. Now, just to give you an example of his level, in 2018, Prince Charles flew from Brisbane all the way to Nhulunbuy just to get a 20-minute healing from my father. Now, although he's passed, he gave me power of attorney, and his only instruction to me before he left this world, it was to unite all the tribes and unite the tribes with the white people so we can take back this country and free this country. That was his instructions. Now, I carry that on my heart, not on my sleeve. I carry that on my heart, and that's what I'm doing right now. That's why we're calling this full moon ceremony on Friday, and that's why I don't stop doing what I'm doing in honor of my father and my tribes I can speak for. But in relation to the desert, I can tell you very, very openly that the Aranda senior elders who attended the Wittichin ceremony in the desert, and there were multiple elders that covered about 8 different tribal regions. They made it very clear to me and said to me, they gave me a tribal name, but it was on the spot. It was in the middle of the bush, and I didn't have anything to write it down. I couldn't remember it, but they did give me a name. And when I asked what that name is, they said, you speak for us. You have permission to speak for us. Go and do what you have to do. And see, the name Lurnpa, I'll just give you a background on the name Lurnpa, which is given to me by Warlpiri elders. Simon Fisher from Yuendamu gave me that name. And I asked, what is that? And he said, that's the kingfisher bird. The kingfisher bird is the messenger bird, brings the message. And that's why they gave me that name, because I merely bring the message to them, and then I take their instructions. Okay, so I can only speak for my bloodline country, but I can speak for those who say you can speak for me. And that means Mr. Gudawiwi, my late father, I have power of attorney, and Craig can confirm that. And also the elders in Aranda and other tribal groups around there have given me full permission and full approval. And I spoke to an Aranda elder today, Annie Helen Bray, who said she's been speaking to multiple elders and they're very happy with what I'm doing. And they said, keep going. We're very proud and we're very happy. Tell him to keep going. So that's as far as my right to speak goes. I can't speak for the West, down South Australia. I can't speak for anyone else. No one, unless somebody's given me permission. So in terms of us coming together, it's just about putting the right solution there, and the tribes will agree to stand with that solution. So we don't have to go around and get every tribe to agree on every little thing. We just have to take the right steps, which is what we're doing, and taking those steps with the non-tribal brothers and sisters like yourselves. And I can tell you now that our tribal elders are very, very happy that the non-tribal people of this country are excited to walk with us. They've never experienced this in their life. Most of these elders, English is their 8th or 9th language, and they are very, very excited that the non-tribal people of this country want to walk with us. So they've given me permission to speak for them in the desert, and not for the whole desert, just for key areas.
No, thank you, lurnpa. Now, as we spoke before, and just to sort of paraphrase, because I can't remember exactly what it was I said, but I spoke to you about there's no need for us to all be under one banner. We don't have to all be in the same club. It's about walking together separately. So if we walk side by side with arm around each other, but we don't have to have the same beliefs. We don't have to be in this, like I say, in the same club or the same group. We don't have to have the same name, but we need to have the same intention. So when we're going there, and we have to focus on the one solid enemy that we have, that's common to all of us.
Brother, I agree with you 100% on that. And the reality is this: you're never ever going to unite all the tribes under one banner. You're never going to unite all the non-tribal groups under one banner, because we have so many different people with different opinions, different goals, different directions, and different egos. So what we need to do is this: we need to come into a room and we need to leave our badges, our labels, our ego, and everything out the door. We need to agree to a common dream, a goal, and set that goal, set that target. And no matter where we stand and what we stand under or stand within, we need to just, like you said, put our arms around each other, walk towards that common goal. And let's face it, it doesn't matter what group it is, whether it's a tribal group or non-tribal group, everyone's after the same thing: freedom. Everyone's after the same thing: bringing good law back into order, bringing good governance back into order, and creating a safe future for all our generations. I'm not in this for my ego. I'm not in this for money. I'm not in this to big note myself or try and make out we're all this and all that. I'm in this for the kids, brother. Right? I got in this because of the kids, and I'm in this for the kids all the way. And that's why they're so scared of me, because everything else is the distraction for the filth that's running this country, that's torturing, murdering, raping, and trafficking children. And they know that that's my motivation, that's my passion, and that's why they're scared of me. They're not scared of me. And the second reason they're scared of me is I walk in both worlds. I don't see color. I'm black and I'm white. Right? Yeah. All I see is I don't see black and white. All I see is what's right. Yep. Now, why they're scared of me?
Shit the same.
That's it, brother. That's it, 100%. Now, why they're afraid of me is because not only is the children my motivation, but unity is my goal. Unifying all groups: black, white, Greek, Asian, Middle East. It doesn't matter where you're from on the planet. If you're on this continent, we want you to come and stand with us. And that's the key. That's the key, because shit. If you need it explained to you in a real fucking simple way, sorry for swearing, go and watch Bug's Life. What do the grasshoppers say?
Hopper explains the world, mate. You remember that? Hopper explains the world. That's what people need to watch. That's where the chief grasshopper gets all the other grasshoppers to fly out and attack the ants again. I've been sharing that. That's right. I'm glad we got common ground, mate. I've been sharing that with people for years. Hopper explains the world. That's how it works.
That's it, bro.
I didn't realize you were so intellectual, mate.
Oh, I'm not. You just got me on a lucky day.
Now, if you got Hopper explains the world, you got to be intellectual to do that.
No, I only got that because it's a cartoon.
Yeah, I know it works really well. So, Dick, is there anything that you'd like to say to lurnpa while he's there?
Not really. I'm just totally behind him.
Yep. Okay. Now, what we've got, it's, when you saw Bluey, here's something interesting, lurnpa, you wouldn't know that, but I used to sort of study under Bluey to the point where I got to know as much as he did, and then I started to know more. Then I became his enemy. And I knew him about the same time Mark McMurtry was seeing Bluey, or Kevin John Morgan. So, and I actually went and studied with David Wynne-Miller. I went on tour with David Wynne-Miller, and Bluey Morgan tells people that he did. But Bluey Morgan did not go on tour with David Wynne-Miller. He went to one seminar. I was the gatekeeper for those seminars. I sat on stage with David Wynne-Miller and acted as his interpreter. And I'll tell everybody now, for anybody who's familiar with correct sentence structure, communication, passe, syntax, grammar, it's definitely a good thing to learn, but you cannot use it within the jurisdictions that we operate within. It's not a valid tool. And with Bluey Morgan or Kevin John Morgan or whatever that, look, I don't refer to him this way, but other people have referred to him, so please excuse my language, but that drug puck drummer doesn't know, like, he doesn't know which way is up when it comes to the truth and to facts. He tells people he's an ambassador for the International Criminal Court, and that's absolutely false. Now, when you said he went to Switzerland, I doubt that he did that, because in a meeting recently with Derek Ballog, who is another con man, he told people that he had never left Australia. And then he said, oh, I correct myself, I've been to Tasmania. That was all. And I don't think he's brave enough. I think he could have been a party to it, but I can't see him going out and strutting the stuff. I've sat in court with him when I spoke to the judge from the gallery because the judge couldn't hear Bluey from inside the courtroom because he sat with his head down talking to the floor and he wouldn't look at the judge. So he's a...
Yeah. Well, he messed up a family court case that Mark McMurtry and Jerry Price had to come in and fix up, or the family would have been in a lot of trouble. And he claims that through his stuff, he got these kids back, but it was actually Mark McMurtry and Jerry Price that did the work and got
Jerry
these kids
did a
back.
lot of...
So
Jerry was the barrister, yeah?
Yep.
No, I met Jerry. I've sat at the same... I've sat at the same table. Sorry, mate. I've sat at the same table with Jerry. And with those people, I was instrumental in getting David Windmiller to come to the country to help, because there was 8 children involved that had all been taken.
You know the case.
The grandfather just recently died. But that was a lot of learning happened and a lot of paths were crossed. And I spent a lot of time talking with Mark. But we got to a point where he and I, well, and it's for his reason, I don't even know what it is, but I'm pretty sure he hates my guts. But somebody rang me once and they said, you don't know why Mark doesn't talk to you anymore, do you? And I said, no. I said, I was learning from him. I said, I learned so much from him. And then we had a discussion one night in a room where there was 18 men. And Mark McMurtry and I spoke for 4 hours, just the two of us, backwards and forwards. And this fella said to me, he said, Mark's used to being the brightest light in the room. He said, when you were there with him, there was 2 bright lights in that room and he doesn't like it. Now, I've never had anything that I know of that's gone wrong between myself and Mark. It just really confused me.
Yeah, well, don't take what other people say until you speak with him. Mark's a straight up man. He'll tell you if there's an issue and if there's not. I'll be very careful of other people chucking shit at you and speaking for him. I can't speak for him. He'll speak for himself. The only thing I can speak about is what he's told me in relation to what this Gary Simons and all these guys have done. Now the fact that you just highlighted those frauds about Bluey, it's no wonder that just go to the old saying, brother. Birds of a feather flock together, and these same people who are running together in these spaces are all deceiving and defrauding everyone. But look, I just want to focus more on what are we doing as a nation of people? Where's our common goal and where's our common dream, and how do we step to that in the most honourable, respectful, and speedy manner to save the kids? Because, brother, I'll be honest with you, all this ego, all this fucking I don't like him and I don't like them. I don't give a shit about any of that. I care about the kids, mate. I want to stop what's happening to all the children, not just on this continent, but across the planet. And if we stop them here, then we pierce that sick beast planetary. And that's why the Pope said in 2017, the only hope for the planet is Indigenous sovereignty, meaning we don't have a contract with this corporation or the Vatican and we can push back. So we're just asking the Australian people. It's really simple. We're saying, look, we don't have any allegiance to them or contract or anything. We have the right to walk this way. Would you just like to walk this way and recreate the new? That's all we're saying. We're not trying to say come under us, follow us. You're going to come under our law, because that's not going to happen. We're going to have to work together. We're going to have to create the new. And we've got models around the planet where tribal and non-tribal law are working together. We've got models where Westminster law and tribal law have already married up on the planet. We've got models where people can go, we could send people for 2 weeks to certain places and come back with the models that we need to go forward in relation to marrying up a tribal and non-tribal law. So my thing is this: people like Gary Simons that are defrauding people and trying to get people to follow them on some fairy tale direction. Mate, he's not working for the kids. In fact, they're the kinds of people that cause injury and harm to our families and our people through their actions. So all I'm asking is for the Australian people to stand together, unite with us, protect the children. Okay, we need to protect the children. I can't get into it too much. One of the other comments he made is that, because I'm not on Facebook, that I'm tuck my tail and run. I'm not on Facebook because I'm helping people. I'm not on Facebook because I'm helping children every day. I'm not on Facebook because it's a waste of space, right? I put stuff up there every now and then, but I'm not on all the social media stuff, and I'm not out there. I'll tell you why. Because I'm working really hard with some beautiful people in the background, and we have opened up international legal support. I won't say who and where. Maybe at the end of the month I'll relieve it. I'll put it out publicly, but we've opened up international legal support, not just for the tribal people, but for everybody. We're doing a lot of great stuff in the background that people aren't aware of, and we're tying this corporate beast up in ways that people can't see, and we can't put it out there yet. But my point is this, brother. I'm just here for the kids, mate. I'm an open book. I don't want to waste my time going around and answering people's ludicrous, slanderous accusations. It's just a waste of time. But look, it's an honour to be on here and speak with good people who are here for the right reasons. And I think what we need to do is we just need to bring everyone together. We need to get all the beautiful minds together, all the legal minds together. We're getting, I'm having good conversations with barristers that have got judges in the background that want to bail out of the system. And we're saying, well, come and walk with us and the people, and let's create the new, because then we can bring everything back into order. And that way we don't have a legal system that's sitting unlawfully. We don't have a political system sitting unlawfully, but we have a legal and political system that's owned by the people, run by the people, and works for the people. That's what we need.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, I've talked enough, brother. I'll let you.
No, thank you very much. But I'd like you to do one favour for me, if you think of it. And it's not, but just when you mention Mark McMurtry, if you can remember Stephen Lymbery to him, and I only want you to tell him one thing for me. Tell him that in the beginning of my waking up and learning, he was one of my major teachers. It was videos that he did, a whole lot of stuff. And it's and I always hoped that I could get to the point where I could remember things as well as he could and be able to regurgitate them. And I have the utmost respect for his knowledge. So
why don't you send him a message, brother? Just send him a message and
I've
say that
sent
to
him
him
messages
directly.
before. He doesn't want to talk to me.
Send him that message and tell him that. Look, Mark's been my greatest teacher. I was just a sleepy youth worker healing kids. I knew nothing about anything. And he educated me on our sovereign position and woke me up to the corporation. At the same time, I then got yarning with my brother Nibbsy, who's on here. How you going, Nibbsy?
Oh, I had to mute him because he had some background noise. But hang on.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'll get him up.
Well, then I contacted Nibbsy.
There you go, Michael.
I've known Nibbsy since he was 5 years old. I'm only a couple of years older, but then I contacted Nibbsy, and Nibbsy's educated me on the unlawful position of this corporation. So between Mark and Nibbsy, their information together, along with Dick and other people who've been doing great work for many years, all of this combined information, which I know Nibbsy has gained a lot of information from. He's read Dick's books. He's read a lot of stuff. But we're just simple men. Nibbsy's a truck driver. I'm a youth worker. Mark's just a panel beater and a mechanic, and multiples of other things. Craig's a spill kit, bloody fire protection man. We're just normal blokes like everyone else out there. Everyday people, brother, that have just found the information. And with this good brother here, Nibbsy and Mark, that's where I got my education from. And I thank them.
Yeah. No, we spoke before about Nibbsy. We won't say what we said about him because you get a big head. But he's also got a teacher that I know, or a teacher or somebody who introduced me, I suppose, to Michael. And that's a lady in Western Australia. And she's quite amazing too. And you might have even spoken to her. I don't know.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
Like Lumba has spoken with Lee.
Yeah. Okay, because I go to her sometimes. I say, listen, I got a problem. This is happening. That's happening. I don't know how it works. And I talk to her and I refer to her as she who must be obeyed. Like when she tells me, I pay attention. So,
Yep.
Okay.
And that's the thing, brother. We got so many beautiful minds. We just need them in the same room with no labels, no patches, no badges, no ego.
That's the biggest thing. In the same
Everybody
room
needs to
with
listen to
no
everybody's.
labels.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to listen to everybody's thoughts, mate. And it is that simple.
Everything. Yes.
You know,
Agreed.
That's our biggest
I've
fight
gone
at the
through-
present time. Too many bloody
I've gone
egos.
through a lot of Dick stuff. And, mate, the stuff that Dick's got there is, well, Colsey, what did Raymond Broomhall say? You know, we sat there in their chambers, in Kirby's chambers there in Hobart, and they could not rebut anything we said. I dropped Dick Yardley's book in front of Raymond Broomhall. He kept it for 3 months. He asked to keep it for a week. You know, like, and he said that book's dangerous. Like, we've got, well, you know, David, when you were sitting in Alice Springs and trying to work out, Raymond Broomhall was trying to work out how they are a corporation. And you kept referring it back to what I was saying, that they are.
Mm-hmm.
There's no if, buts, or maybes. When Raymond found it, he shit himself, mate.
Well, not only did he shit himself, but we charged the 6 coppers who murdered young Kumanjay Walker. We charged the Jamie Chalker, the Northern Territory Police Commissioner, and we also charged the Northern Territory Body Politic. So we charged the corporation for murder because it's a person, and a person can be charged for murder. And they moved heaven and earth and everything in between, and committed perjury, fraud, and so much criminal.
They obstructed,
conduct.
perverted, and defeated the course of justice, mate. It's that simple.
They did all of that just to cover up what Raymond served them for Kumanjay Walker, because we charged the body politic. And that's what we need to do. We need to hold the individuals and the body politic to account, and that's where we sting them.
And the only way we can do that,
And I think
there you go, Dick,
is with people's numbers. But if we can do that in, say, make a real issue of it in a Pacific state or a Pacific thing, we can take down that political system in that state, and that will turn around and, like a set of Skittles, will start taking down the other states. Once it's done in one state, it's going to be a lot easier from then forward.
And Dick, you're 100% correct. And we need to start with something small.
Okay, I got a really good idea for you, Nibbsy. How about 6th of February in Nowra? I know a bloke who's got a court case who's been threatened with 6 months jail and $11,000 fine.
But what
he's no good. That's no bloody good. We need something
what would you know, Dick?
That bloke's not worth looking after.
Oh, he wants his own show. He wants his own show, and he wants to host it from a rotary phone.
Oh, well, I got a case here. No. I got a case for you.
I've already got the case, Lurnpa. I don't want to look. I want to let you speak, but I'm talking about me. And these blokes have just thrown me under the bus. Like, I'm not valid. I'm not worth
it. As I said to you, mate, stand using Mundy versus Gill.
Yep.
Mundy versus Gill is a very clear-cut case. It's done in the High Court. It states very, very clearly that they must prove every element of their case to be lawful, including the legislation they rely on.
Yep.
They can't prove it. Show me the correct will, seals, and assent in accordance with Orders 158 of the High Court rules. They haven't got it. Checkmate.
Yep.
And don't let the court move from that.
Yep.
And if they want to move under summary jurisdiction, you stand under Section 12A of the Crimes Act 1914. Section 12A states that for a court of summary jurisdiction to be heard, it must be heard with the consent of the defendant, mate.
Hey, Nibbsy, someone just asked what was that case? Someone just asked what was that case. Can you repeat it again for him?
Which case is that?
Mundy versus Gill.
Mundy versus Gill, 1930, is a High Court of Australia case. Can you turn that down, please?
And the High Court orders?
High Court orders was Orders 158. That comes out of the Quick and Garran Commonwealth Acts, 1901 through to 1936 from memory. And it's Orders 1, Sections 5A. And it states, for any act to be an act, it must be an act of the Parliament of the United Kingdom, which is a force throughout the Commonwealth or part thereof. And the fact is, what they're operating under is the Labour Code 1863. And under 1863, if you go have a look at sections 1 through to 26 of the Labour Code, it states very clearly in sections 13, 10, 13, and 26. Sections 10, it states that who it applies to, which is your tax collectors. Section 13 states that for what does it say? Section 13. There are two types of military jurisdiction. One is defined and conferred by statute. The other is under the common law of war. And section 26 is very clear, and it outlines that they've sworn an oath to a foreign power. Now, if they've sworn an oath to a foreign power, you stand under ASIC's Form 418, and because they don't stand using an ASIC's Form 418, which is a memorandum of appointment of a local agent, how do they have any standing? They don't have it. It's that simple.
Okay, so that's the way I go on the 6th of February.
Can I say something, Stephen?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say that, I've been learning from Nibbsy and all these people I've been doing this fight for a long time myself as well. So I was falsely charged in 2003 with armed robbery and aggravated assault, which was a fraud. It never happened. And my case went for 2 years, went to the Supreme Court, and I realized that there was something wrong with the system, that you can be charged for something that you didn't do. But it was thrown out. It was thrown out by the judge on what was called a forwarde direction. It was the last forwarde direction in this country. And what I thought was that the truth will prevail, but my lawyer said to me, it's not about the truth.
It's about what you can prove.
It's about what you can prove. It's about how much bullshit you can put on the table. That's what he was telling me. But since I've been doing this stuff with the tribal people, and like we've set up our own PMA up here for 3 tribal nations under Mudjigi, which is Larrakia, Brinken, and Tiwi nations. And so we've been doing actions against the corporations, and the only thing that's actually really worked is we went outside of their jurisdiction. We went to an organisation by the name of WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organisation, and we did a complaint against Trademark, Australian Trademark, right? Trademark Australia. We made a complaint against them because they had given the states and territories permission use of their sacred emblems without their approval. Now, we did a video on the sacred emblems. Yep. We documented it. It's a documentary. WIPO said, where's your proof? We sent them the documentary. They straight away appointed an arbitrator out of Switzerland, and they told Trademark Australia, if you don't come to the table, we're going to cancel Trademark Australia, not the trademark. Trademark Australia was going to get cancelled. So straight away, after contacting Trademark Australia for 18 months, we had an email within that day from the head of Trademark Australia saying that they're prepared to come to the table. So this is what we've worked out that works. You got to take it outside of their jurisdiction.
Take it internationally.
International. So then what I've done is that with the tribal nations is that I'm a human rights advocate, observer, and defender. And all you have to do that is you just need to read the charter to be a human rights defender. And once you accept that charter and you document it, right, so you film yourself saying that you've read the charter and that you've agreed to it, then you are a human rights defender. Then what I did was that all the tribal nations that I've been working with around the country, I got them to sign to say that I can stand for them for human rights breaches. I can report them. So I got that authenticated by the people of the country where I live, because they're still the rightful custodians of the country, because the government has to get them to sign. Therefore, that makes them the custodians, right?
Stop
They
there
say
for a
that
second, Craig. Stop there for a second, Craig.
Yes, brother.
Remember when we were in Kirby's chambers in Hobart?
Yep.
And we're having that discussion with
Greg Malik,
Broomhall, Hopkins, Slipper. How do we fuck them? Sorry for the language, but the fact is the land was stolen. They agreed to that. There's a newspaper article printed, which was a declaration
by the church in
Tasmania, by the Anglican Church.
Yep.
Stating that they had stolen the land and slaughtered the blackfella. Now, how did we stop them? What did we use to stop Greg Malik, the whole lot in their place? What did we use?
First in time, first in right.
Exactly. And then we went, provide the documentation that shows you either own the land and bought it from the tribes, or you have a leasing agreement from the tribes that shows that you have the use of the land under usufruct. What was Greg Malik's and their response? They stood up, shut their books and went, we can't prove that and you know it, let's go. Walked out of the room. It is that simple. They admitted that the land was stolen. They've admitted that they're dealing in stolen property. Every government department that sells land to anybody in this country is dealing in stolen property.
Yeah. So this is what we proved, that the tribal law, there is a law that's in place, and Greg Malik said to me and Nibbsy, he leant over and he said, document the law. Well, we've done that, right? The law was already documented. It's called Law Sticks. It's already been provided to these people, but we didn't know how to close the deal. Well, we do now, right? Now, anything that they do, right, is built on consent. We know that their system is admiralty law, which is contract law, which requires your consent. So all we have to do is show all the people out there that there is a better way, right? There's a way. Now we have a way right now, right in front of us now, to get the masses. And that is that we take them out of debt, out of their debt. Now, Tibula, not only are they a trademark office, which they've now an official trademark office, but now they're an official lands titles office. And we can give people a lands title for the land that they're on. And all you got to do is pay a membership to the Tibula, PMA. You can get a lands title and a allodial lands title, a proper lands title, and therefore all you're doing is paying a lease instead of rates to the council, and therefore your debt to the bank is gone. There is no debt.
You remove it from the bank because it's already been sold.
Their system is a debt system to hold you down. You need to take yourself out of the debt and into the credit, and that's how we win. Numbers. It's just a numbers
Take the money away from them.
The
We
money
just
is
walk.
counterfeit to start off with.
Yeah.
Can we just
100%, 100%, you're 100% correct, mate.
But the thing is the land title was changed. It is a land title or a deed of grant, but that was quite right to start with, but all that was changed. All this bullshit started in 73 when Whitlam started changing the whole system around. Before that, things were right. The average, we were all one race. Then they turned around and put money into being an Aboriginal, and you got all these blue-eyed blondes becoming Aboriginals because there was money involved. And that's where we've got a problem. We all eat and shit the same. This is our one battle all the way through. We're all one, not one above the other.
And you know the easiest way to explain that?
Pardon?
No, the easiest way to prove that we are all one? Go get every one of us, if you walked out and grabbed a piece of glass and cut our hand, our blood's exactly the
We
same.
all bleed, the same bloody bleed, yes.
Exactly.
It's no bloody different.
No
All
matter
this
black,
bullshit,
white, Brindle,
to me,
Asian,
with this
doesn't matter.
Aboriginal and stuff, it's just another form of government trying to
It's
split the
another
bloody
form.
country up, so we're looking at this way while we're doing something in that.
It's
and
another form of
we're all-
distraction. That's all it is a form of
it's-
distraction, which creates
right.
division.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
all it is.
It's like we said before, we should be all stuck in one room, all your bullshit outside the room, no egos, no friggin' nothing in the room, and we sit down and we listen to us all talk.
That's exactly right.
And just, yes, this is
And
Aboriginal
don't take
to me is
offence.
just
Don't take
bullshit
offence.
because
Nobody should be taking offence. If I turn around and say, hey, you're a black cunt or you're a Chinese fucker, doesn't matter. You're a
I
white
drove
cunt,
road trains.
Doesn't matter.
I drove road trains in the late 60s, and we went on to we were cutting drought stock out of the territory down into the southern states. And the black buggers, they could jump a bareback horse and bring in cattle that hadn't seen a bloody human being. Now, they're bloody wild, I can tell you that right now, because we lost 2 road bosses and they just got gored to death with these cattle. But hey, if I don't know his name, hey, fella, black fella, come here, give me a hand. Hey, yeah, come on, Whitey, I'm coming, Whitey. It was no difference. I couldn't have given a shit what they called me. We're just doing a job. So this is all government bullshit that's come into the system. We are one. It's like you say, we cut,
It's
we bleed
political correctness that they try
red,
to
and we eat
force
shit
on
the
us.
same. That's right. And it's time we got rid of the whole bloody lot.
Yeah,
Yes, you
absolutely.
don't have to worry about the reference to skin or anything like that. You just make
No.
sure you get the correct pronoun, mate. You don't want to mess that side of it up. There's only 69 to memorize, and then you've got to guess as who's using which one. What a pile of garbage.
That's the worst divisional tool. All that bullshit. Look, the bottom line is everything's about division. The tribal landowners are the true and absolute custodians and owners of their tribal terrains. End of story. Everything they did from 1788, all their fucking titles, everything is null and void because it's all fraudulent from the start. So that actually means nothing. We can play in their game here, but the only time I've seen any reaction is when we've gone outside of this bubble. And the only Trademark Australia are ignoring Tibinla until Whippo emailed them and said, if you don't negotiate with these tribal people, we're going to shut down Trademark Australia. That's the only time they jumped, right? And so when you take it outside of this bubble,
why is that?
Yeah. Hey?
Whippo, isn't Whippo part of the United Nations?
That's because Whippo holds liability for the fraud that Trademark Australia is committing under their registered corporation.
It's all corporate law, mate.
That's right.
All under contract.
That's right. That's right.
Contract law, I don't think is really much either in this country either, because I've got contracts with the prime ministers, the states, and the territory signatures all on it. And within a few days after they signed all that, they just said, stick it up your ass, we're taking everything.
Yeah, but it's because people don't stand under the High Court rules. Like hardly, when I first started
Which
doing
High Court are you referring to? Hang on, which High Court are you referring to? Because we got 2 High Courts in this country, and one is totally sits in treason.
anything from 1960, actually, if you want to be precise, anything from 1919 till now is invalid.
No, prime ministers can't sign us into something that they don't even, because we don't have a prime minister.
But in 1919,
anything from 1960 forward can't be valid because we didn't have a so-called Governor General.
1919, Dick. Excuse me.
I don't.
In
go under what prime
1919,
hang on,
minister
Dick. Let Michael make his statement, then you respond.
Yeah, in 1919, what actually happened is our Governor General was meant to renounce the war. He never did, right? And because they never renounced the war is when they started to fall under a military jurisdiction. And if you go back to 1911, in 1911 was the first time they allowed vice-admiralty law onto this land. And you can go back through the New South Wales archives and find in the New South Wales archives, it states very, very clearly that up until 1911, which was the Commonwealth Bank Act, the Copyright Act, I think the first Submerged Lands Act, that's when that all come in. Now, in 1919, the Governor General was meant to renounce the war, and he never did. So we've been at war since 1919. Nothing's changed. And that's why you have a war against drugs.
I don't agree with that.
It's in the legislation, Dick. Like, I've gone through it, I've sat down and I'll find the act, I'll give it to Steve.
Okay.
You can pass it on.
Well, so here's what we do, Nibbsy.
Can I, sorry, just quickly, can I correct both of you? It's all invalid from 1788 because when they stuck that piece of rag in the ground, they broke tribal law, right? First in time, best that law. First in time, best that law.
1421. No, but David, we've got to bring it back. This is the thing. We've got to bring it back to the Commonwealth Constitution. If we don't bring it back to the Constitution first, we can't move forward. It's that simple.
I get that, but my point is this. One cannot profit from the proceeds of a criminal act. What they did from the very outset was a criminal act, and everything from there on is null and void. Now, I agree with you, Nibbsy. We need to bring that back to protect the Australian people, and Section 5126 of that Constitution protects the tribal people because the laws don't apply to them. Now, exactly. That's when we get to. I know what you're saying, brother, and that's where we get to start fresh and move forward. But my issue is this: they ignore us in all their courts because they can't do what they're doing. I mean, the 2004
they ignore us in their. They ignore us. Sorry, David, but they ignore us in the courts because what does it say in the Constitution, mate? We're not to be fucking recognised or counted.
No, but I'm saying they ignore the non-tribal people too. They just ignore us in this fictitious, fraudulent legal system on this continent and this governance. So the point I'm making is, if we're going to do anything in their legal realm, we need to take it outside of here and sting them where it matters, and not in the international 100%.
But we have to. I honestly believe we have to bring back to the Constitution. And once we get back to the Constitution...
Till that happens, you're not going to change anything.
Exactly, Dick. 100%. 100%.
And you can take all these laws out, all this 1915 and all this sort of thing out, because under our Constitution we don't have a Prime Minister, and this bullshit that started off with bloody Whitlam saying that the Governor General must do as his Prime Minister tells him. All this sort of bullshit. Since 1960, we haven't had a damn court or a law made.
We haven't had a Governor General, and you can go through and have a look.
Since 1960, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. But there's no, and that's as we have agreed before, Dick. Once we bring up and go back to their oath of office, you shut that down. Where do they go?
Nobody in this country. There's nobody in this country to accept an oath of office.
And so there's nobody in Britain that can accept it either, mate.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. It's the oaths. So where do we? What they've done, they've taken the oaths all out.
So where do we go, Dick?
Back to the original Constitution.
Back to the Constitution, and the other thing that Dick is saying is, we don't have in this country with the Constitution, we have a representative government. We don't vote for one single leader. We don't vote for a president. We're operating like a dictatorship now, but that's not what we vote for. So there's no one man or woman can sign us into an international agreement.
And that's what I'm saying. Look, once we get back to the Constitution, the Constitution is going to be our hallmark. That's where we've got to get back to. Once we get back to that, then we can start. Then we start going, okay, let's look at this on a bigger scale. Now, nobody's actually sat down and gone, okay, how are we going to do it? I spent 4 years arguing back and forth with barristers in Hobart, Victoria, Queensland, and the Northern Territory. And
Quite
they've all
honestly,
gone,
when you argue with barristers, I wouldn't take too much notice of them barristers because
there
I've
are a
had
few, Dick,
plenty of arguments with them, and I wouldn't trust them as far as I could kick them.
there's a few out there, Dick, that actually stand there and go, okay, this is what, and their hand, like, it's no different. They've sworn their oath. Their hands are tied to a certain degree.
That's right.
And when we were
To
sitting,
a
when we were
system that's
sitting
not
there,
ours.
100%. But when we were sitting there in Hobart, Raymond Broomhall, Raymond Broomhall, Peter Slipper, Greg Malik, Matt Hopkins. There's another person on the meeting from AFL lawyers. They all turned around and went, pushed it away from us and went, you need to document your law. You need to cede yourselves from our law, because when did you ever renounce your
Queen, your monarch?
queen, your monarch? And we went, we've never claimed a monarch. And their faces dropped. So we went, I sat there and went, holy fuck, we need to sit down and get each individual tribal area to put their law in writing. Once we get one tribe to do it.
Honestly, do you think you're going to get that?
No,
Yeah,
no,
we will. I'll
haven't-
tell you why. It's already done. Our law is one law that traverses the entire continent. It changes ceremonial
entire planet.
language.
360 different bloody tribes.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah, no,
listen,
hang on a
under
second.
one law.
Let him finish.
Stop chucking out the 360 nations thing, right? That's what makes people think it's impossible. Now, here's the thing, right? It was a lot more than that, right? The genocide wiped out a lot more tribes than that. Now, our law traverses the entire continent, doesn't change. That's why we have one law, the kangaroo, right? And the emu, right? And it traverses the entire continent. Our law structure in Urinal country, up in East Arnhem Land, is the same as Latakia, is the same as Walpurgis, is the same as down south, is the same as east and west. It's all one same law, right? Now, what we've done is we've done some great work, and we've actually now combined our ancient law structure into a governance system that alleviates fraud, treason, nepotism, and criminal behaviour. Now, that sort of model, based on our ancient governance models, right, doesn't allow for any fraud or any treason. So we don't have to go around and get every tribe to go, well, here, we're going to write up all our laws. It's the same one, all right? It's the same one. It's the same law. It's the same law that they broke when they put the flag in the ground and makes everything null and void. Now, what Nibbsy said to Greg Malik, and I was sitting right beside him, he looked Greg Malik in the eye, and he said, show me the deed or the land sale or the contract. And he closed his book. He said, we can't provide that. Closed his book, got up and said, I've got to go. Right? So it's our law is the same. And we've actually structured a governance structure for the tribes, and it's a governance structure that non-tribal groups can use should they want to use it, because there's no room for fraud, treason, or nepotism.
And what we're talking about doesn't only stay in Australia, mate. It's worldwide.
Correct.
Because no matter what culture you go to, you look through all the cultures and you start looking at all their history. They come back to mother law.
That's right. Well, here, let me explain our law to all the listeners and to you solid brothers here, right? It's this simple. And I'll speak the words of my father, late Mr. Guruwiwi. He said to me, I come from nature, and nature gives us our law. It's that simple. It's mother's law. It's creation law. It's the law from the land. That's our law, and that's one law, not just for the tribes here. It's for my Scottish and Irish tribes back in Europe, right? When they were once in full connection with the land, they would have had the same law, right? That connection with mother, the connection with the animals, the connections with the totems, the connection with the spirituality. We just took 23 people out on a cultural immersion experience through my charity. so we can try and raise the funds to heal our kids, because the government ain't going to help us and our kids are dying rapidly. We just took 23 people out. They knew nothing about our culture, nothing about anything. And what they all walked away is, we need this for humanity, because yous have got it. Yous have got the connection. Yous have got the belonging. You have got the family. You have got what it really means. And all these non-tribal people who left our experience that we took them on have walked away now not only feeling more connected to our culture, but understanding the importance of how that connects them to who they are from wherever they are on the planet. Because everybody left from this continent to populate the planet. It wasn't out of Africa, it was out of here. That's why the tribes here hold all 7 DNAs. And there's a site in Darwin Harbour that Uncle Juma talks about, which is where they left from for their promised lands. And what Uncle Juma says consistently is that all the non-tribal people on this continent now who left here millennia ago have returned to fix what was broken from when they left. So we are trying to bring it back into order under an ancient law that belongs to all of us. It's in all our bloodlines. It's in all our DNA. And it goes back to Mother Earth. It's beyond this corporate shit. It's beyond the money. It's beyond your wealth. It's beyond the greed and the materialistic bullshit that everyone fucking focuses on. Sorry for swearing, right? This is so deep. And those 23 white people who came here, they've left connected. They've left with, they are family now. They are connected to our families who taught them, and they're all coming back. They're coming back to go out and sit with them on country and learn. And that's what we're offering to the nation. Not just a way out of this shit show, but a direction where we can all heal together and create. When we create together and we heal together, you know, like I said, I read a saying years ago that a country is not a nation until its people are walking in unison. We have never walked in unison. We've all been slapped in the face, punched in the throat, and kicked in the guts, and a lot of our families have been murdered and are going to die, right? And the reality is we have been forced into a situation that our survival relies on us looking beyond our materialistic gains, looking beyond our individualism, and looking to the collective to work together to create the new. And that's the opportunity we have here. And anybody who doesn't see that opportunity is looking shallow. So I just want to say that our law has never left. It's still here. And it's here for you to get enriched by. It's here for us to share with this country and build a nation. And when we build a nation based on that, guess what? There is no hierarchy. We win. We're free. And then we create. And your kids and my kids and our grannies and our great grannies, they'll drink good water, eat good food, and breathe good air. And that's our responsibility to our ancestors. And I can tell you right now, I've witnessed multiple times. There's been multiple situations where Mark in particular, Mark McMurtry has had situations where people have tried to lure me and others down pathways which were nothing but money, and we will not sell out for money. We will not give up our freedom and our land and our law for any materialistic or financial gain.
Give up our children, mate.
And that's what it's about, brother. This is about our children, man. This isn't about me. This isn't about yous. This is about our little ones that can't even fucking understand what's going on. And we have a responsibility to them, and that's our job for the ancestors to come. And that's the responsibility that's been handed to us. And my father left me with a very, very clear objective: unite the blacks, unite the tribal people across this country, and unite the tribal people with the non-tribal people, and take back control of this country, heal the rivers, heal the gupple, which is the water, heal the land, and heal the people. And we have a chance to do this. We don't have to even play in their friggin' courts, because you know why? We have the right to recreate. And if you want to go, you know what? I don't want to be in this club. I want to get a clearance. Well, then come over here and create with us. It's that fucking simple. We don't even have to play their games. Now, we are talking to the Russians. We are talking to other groups. We are talking to foreign bodies to see us and acknowledge that we are the landowners. We own the resources. Fuck the globalists. Keep the wealth here. All right, we don't have to dig up the land. We can create healthy industries, and we can create abundance for 26 million people into the future. And we don't have to destroy the land to do that. We can create healthy industries, and we can do that, and we don't have to ask. The problem we got is we think we got to play in their realm. We got to play in their thing. So I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm having positive conversations with Rainer Fulmich's team, and they've agreed to take on the tribal plight as one of their main focuses. All right, and I'm having an interview with them at the end of the month, and we're putting information towards them, and they've agreed to take that on. I'm putting the children forward, and that's all children, black and white, Greek, every kid on this continent. So we're putting the children up. We're putting the genocide of us all with this bioweapon, and we're putting up the genocide for the last 233 years. Now, Rainer Fulmich's team has agreed to take on our tribal plight. I've been communicating with them for the last 3 months and say, let's get out of this jurisdiction. Let's get out of this realm, and let's hold these corporate dogs and these corporate agents impersonating public officers accountable while we shut down these corporations and bankrupt them. Tiburon's already got $180 trillion gold bullion commercial lien against the United States of America, and a lawyer rang Craig and said, do you realize what you had? And he says, yes, we got you bankrupt, right? And that's only 3 tribes. So we got another 200 plus tribes to serve. Now, we bankrupt these bastards, we get them off our continent, we provide the Australian people with a legitimate government, a legitimate legal system. We got a lot of good legal people, you know, people like Raymond Broomhall and many others who want to bring it back into good order. And that's what we need. We got a lot of good judges out there that are waking up. But where do they step? They got nowhere to step. We can create that. Step with us, get a clearance, right? And we all just recreate. Why fight? Why fight? Don't fight the pressure when we don't have to.
The fact is, David, there's a saying under I can't say it in Latin, but it pretty much says an error is only a mistake till you fail to correct it. And a lot of these people are starting to realise. I know Raymond Broomhall has. I know Peter Slipper has. Greg Malik. They've all went, we've seen the fuck up. How do we fix it? And they asked us when we were there. They said, how do we fix the problem?
They said, how do we fix it? They said, how do we fix the problem and come to the table and negotiate?
That's exactly right.
That was Peter Slipper's words.
At that point in time, we didn't have a position. We were only fumbling through it, mate. And we didn't have a position where we could go, okay, this is where we're going.
Yep.
Now we're starting to look at it, like, especially using Dick, like Dick Yardley. Fucking, I take my hat off to the man. He's, I can't say enough about him. But we got to stop and go, okay, let's work out how we can move forward and move forward as one and educate the ones that, like, I'm in family law court at the moment. I educated a family lawyer the other day, and I shut him down, mate. And his response to me was, thank you for your expert opinion and your expertise in this matter. Now, they just need to be shown the light and shown how to stand.
That's right.
And that's exactly like Dick Yardley's opened my eyes up to a lot of things. Mark McMurtry, we've had, well, David, you know, we've had a fucking couple of good discussions there in Queensland, and he was telling me I was wrong, and I was telling him he was wrong, and we found out both of us were pretty much right. We were just looking at it from a different point of view. And
that's right.
we found the common ground, and I showed him the law from my angle, and he showed me the law from his angle, and I went, you can't argue with it. There's the truth. You know, and that's exactly what needs to happen. We can't argue that point anymore, mate.
We just got to stand in the truth, brother. Stand in the truth, see a common dream, and set that goal together. And like you said, brother, we'll put our arms around each other, no matter what color or breed we are, same blood, and just walk towards that goal. When we get there, you know what? All the egos can go out on the lawn and punch it out and do whatever they want and fucking see who's got the biggest toy. I don't care. But right now,
when the door's shut, we can do whatever we like.
Exactly. Right now, we're not going to get through that door with conflict. We're not going to get through that door with all the stuff that's going on with no, his way is not the right way. Like I'm like you, brother. It is division. I've sat with like so many people who think their way is the right way, and I listen to all of them and I go, shit, you're all right. How about you just not try and compete with each other and go, well, let's just stand together with what we know is right. Just like you and Mark, when you and Mark had that conversation, I was there.
That's right.
He said, no, Nizzy, no. And you're going, no, Mark, no. And then he went quiet and listened to you. And he went, oh, fuck, I didn't see it that way. And you went quiet and listened to him, and you went, fuck, I didn't see it that way. And that's when you came to a common agreement. And that's all
Exactly.
we need. We just need to do that. And I think a room full of the right people, and look, we're having conversations right now. There are multiples of people trying to get all the right minds into the right room as we speak. And that's happening real soon. We need to do that, and we need to do it respectfully. We need to do it with honor, and we need to do it with a focus of freedom for everyone. And above all, we need to stop what's happening to the children. All right, that's the real pandemic on this planet and on this continent. That's the number one pandemic.
Mm. Yes. And we have enough knowledge.
And to me, all the bloody courts I've been into, the judges know exactly what they were doing. As far as I'm concerned, I don't consider any of these damn judges much good at all, because when they turn around and they crucify you and they know they're wrong, and I can prove they knew they were wrong with their whole bloody attitude system. As far as I'm concerned, they got a destiny, and it ain't going to be appreciated.
Dick, you're 100% correct.
Agree.
I've sat here in the courts here. What's his name? Jesus, Michael J. Brett. I can't think of the other bloke's name, but we've had massive arguments, and at the end of it, they've turned around and went, "Thank you for the education." And I went to hand up paperwork. Sorry, we can't look at that. And the reason why they're saying they can't look at it is because that's it. Exactly it, mate. They've sworn their oath.
Yep.
I've had judges
they can't go against the bar. We know that. But I'm with you, Dick.
But when in that system, they've got to be cleaned out, and as far as I'm concerned, they've got to be done publicly, so we don't go back into that same system. Because they're the bastards that are holding the system.
Okay, so how do we do it? Well, look, there's a few things that we've looked at. We've got a couple of hands up, which have been up for a little while, one in particular, but we'll take that. But I think one of the points that Dick makes, which I 100% agree with, is this legal system that we have is a total constructive fraud, treason, criminal. And when we're talking about the children, without elaborating here, we all know what we're talking about. We all know what we're talking about. And the people that use children as a commodity the way that they do and what they do with them, those people do not deserve to draw breath. Now, at some point, it's my personal belief that the legal system that we have, the laws that are written all around the world that cater for barristers, lawyers, judges, and whatever, are all just a pile of crap. The way it's written, it's not meant for any man or woman to comprehend. They're not meant to. And things don't need to be that complex. So there's a number of different levels that have got to run. When it comes to fixing the problem, I keep saying to people, you can only affect where you live, like where you are. That's where you've got to make a difference. But it might take communities getting together. The local courts are one of the elements. The other areas are councils. But I'll just put that in mind. But we can have a good discussion about this outside of here. But if I can just take, James has had his hand up for a little while. James, go ahead.
Hi guys. I'll just wait a sec. I'm a commercial fisherman. I was a commercial fisherman for quite a few years in Queensland. I'm now a sovereign fisherman. Where I got my sovereignty from is from the 1700 Settlement Act, the 1890 Partnership Act, as equal shareholders of the Commonwealth. That's who we are. That's who the Anzacs fought for, black and white. There's a lot of division in what we're doing right now. There's so many people from like every state, most towns, all that stuff. They're all looking for the same answer, right? And that what I just said is the answer. It puts you back under the 1900 Constitution and just them three things alone. And I worked with a group of people, and one of the Zooms that they done one Sunday night was when Charlie Boy done the proclamation, right? And then they stopped it in individuals' spots, and he said, stop there, and he explained what happened. And then it went on a bit further and he said, stop there, and explain what happened. So when he just done the proclamation, Charles III, he put us back under all of those acts, right? Now all we have to do is stand as one common people and do what we've got to do. The only way we can win it is by fighting the battle ourselves in the court, right? And the way you do that is when you go in there, there's so many acts and you're using their own laws against them. Okay, one is the Cross-Vesting Act. Okay, the judge, there's no separation of powers in any court, right? Because the judge is supposed to be a representative of the Crown and he's supposed to be paid in pounds sterling. So that doesn't happen. He's paid by the corporation, the state of Queensland or the state of New South Wales, right? So the prosecutor in that court gets paid by the state, the judge gets paid by the state, and the
okay.
Prosecutor
2 seconds there, brother.
gets
2 seconds. I've got to
Yep.
interrupt you here. When you have a look at your prosecution, yeah?
Yep.
Go have a look at your prosecutor, see if he's sworn his oath in accordance with the Judiciary Act 1903. He hasn't. Therefore, he's impersonating a Commonwealth officer, which is a fraud, which makes him personally liable. He can go to jail. He's fucked.
Yeah,
Now,
I know. I'm fighting a case exactly that way right now, and we're trying to get it to Supreme level. It's in trial at the moment, but what you just said then is 100% right.
Monday versus Gill, the High Court of Australia.
Yep.
Right. 1930 is very clear that the prosecution must prove every element of their case, including the legislation they rely on, to be lawful. That means it must bear the correct royal seals and assent according to our Commonwealth Constitution. Nothing has since then. 1919.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm fighting the stuff that I'm fighting in court. I'm using everything prior to 1900, and it's getting pretty successful. Sort of, I've got them in a corner and they don't know how to get out. And that, yeah, we've got to stand under them documents, man. If we stand under that as equal shareholders of the Commonwealth, you guys were left out of the Constitution as far as I'm aware, because you were already here on the land and you were already had your own law and you were free, independent people.
No, not had, still have.
Yeah. But it's all been stolen from us.
It says, whereas the people of. So you, in that system.
Do you want to watch a movie to understand all that? It's called The Outlaw King.
Yep. Yeah,
I'm just King James Bible was based on, mate.
Yeah, everything we've got to fight them with is prior to 1900.
Okay,
and then
thanks
we've got
very
half
much,
the chance of pulling them down.
Thanks very much, James.
All good.
So we'll move along now. Robert, go ahead, please.
Yeah, good evening. Look, I really liked a lot of the things that I've heard tonight. I've respected what I've heard from lurnpa for a long time, since I've first saw him on YouTube, but I do have some questions about certain things. There's been, we all acknowledge that there's division, and we all acknowledge that there's an ego issue with getting everyone on a similar pathway. But even tonight, what strikes me is there's this speak of, I don't know the correct terms anymore, whether it's Aboriginal, Indigenous, sovereign or original people.
Tribal is the best one, bud.
Sorry?
Tribal would be the best one, because no matter any country, you got tribal people. Black, white, brindle, Asian, China, doesn't matter, mate. We're all tribal people.
Yeah, I get that, but for me, and I know this is potentially controversial, and I'm not meaning any disrespect, but I was born here and I know nowhere else. If I want to go back to my ancestry by my family mythology, I'm supposed to be descended from Vikings and perhaps even, royal people, but I can't go back to the Viking world and claim my land now. This is where I have my identity. Sorry?
Yeah, you can. If you can prove your bloodline to that, if you can prove your bloodline, you can. That's fact.
Yeah, but I don't actually have an interest in that, because my identity is I was born here. This is where I'm from.
because
get
you're
you.
an Australian. And when was the word Australian first coined? It was in 1606 by a bloke called William Jassul.
Yeah, but Michael, I don't think Robert's even saying that. He was born, whatever you want to call it, he was born here. And I feel the same way. And I've said all the time,
You
nobody's
don't get it, man.
hang on, mate.
Use it still tribal. Right? It
Yeah,
doesn't
no, I
matter.
know, but look, but
Black,
all he's
white, or
saying
blue. Use
is,
it tribal, use it Australian.
yeah, no, well, I think we were born here and we belong here. And the name doesn't
Exactly.
make it what it is. We just belong here and we don't want to be anywhere else.
That's exactly what I'm saying, mate.
Yeah.
You
that's
are
all.
Australian. We are all one.
Yeah.
That's what that
My
song.
point-
We are one. We are many.
My point that I'm trying to make, though, is that in trying to get everybody to go together, and I've said here on this channel before that I don't think we can all be unified, and Lumpa said the same, or David said the same thing tonight. We can't all be unified because we all have different opinions. And I've also said on here, we need to return to solid principles about what's right and wrong. But
Okay.
what I'm talking about.
Hang on,
though,
Michael. We'll just let him finish.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is in relation to egos and division. There is a potential barrier to get people on side on whatever pathway we choose, and I think we all need to somehow try and recognize we are all part of the same human family racially, and again, you've said this tonight because you're saying that we all came from here, but I don't know how to verify that.
Okay.
And I live in a world where I'm trying to understand what is really true and in Stephen's terms, factual.
Okay. The easiest way to look at it from my point of view, what colour do you bleed?
Yeah, I don't really care about skin color. I would say
No. I'm just trying to explain something here. What colour do you bleed?
Yeah, I know we all bleed red. I get that concept.
Next question. Where do you all come from?
Well,
We all
if
come
you
from
believe
the
that,
earth, and where do we all go back to? The earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's our common ground.
Yes.
No matter who we are, no matter what we are, we come from the earth. We go back to the earth.
Yeah. You're not trying to sell me, right? I get the concept. I'm trying to talk about the average person in the world who doesn't even think about these things deeply, and people who have prejudices who don't even know they're prejudiced, for whatever reason. Like I'm sure I have prejudices, not necessarily racially, but I have prejudice against people with certain attitudes.
Well,
these are
prejudice.
things
I'm as prejudice is all hell, but I'll give you the drum. But the fact is, we're looking at something that's morally correct, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at, okay, A, B, and C comes from the earth. What comes from the earth? Everything comes from the Mother Earth. Everything we have, right? And it all goes back to one place. And this is blackfellow law, boss. That's where it all comes from. That's where it all goes back to. No matter what. Every grizzly bear, every dog, bird, cat, whatever.
That's not blackfellow law. That's just the law of nature.
That's mother law.
That's right, exactly. It's
mother
everything,
law.
like your food, your whole bloody system.
That's right.
Everything. Like I love growing things. All the food comes from the ground. Our body, everything goes back to the ground. You break down the tree, you put it back in, it rots down to the ground. We rot when we die. We go back to the ground. We go back to, you call it Mother or Mother Earth.
Tribal law.
But it's nature's law.
Which is tribal law, Dick. It's tribal. Every culture has that same thing.
Robert, can I answer you my opinion on it? It's Lompa.
Sure. It's kind of addressing you anyway.
Elders used to tell me when I was younger, there's no separation between us and white man. And I say, no, there is. They're from fucking there and they're white. What are you talking about, Uncle?
Nothing.
Yeah, right. It took me a long time to grow and learn and listen more and understand that there is no separation between my Scottish, Irish, and Aboriginal bloodlines, because at some point my Scottish and Irish ancestors once roamed the earth and had absolute connection through proper law to the land. They've just been a few thousand years removed. Now, let's use me as an example. I can't speak for Latticare country because I'm Luricha and Wombaya, but I was born and raised on Latticare country, and I call this home. I call it home. I love the land. I love the weather. I love the nature, and I love everything about Latticare country. But I have no ownership
100%.
over it. I have no ownership over it, and I have no say over it. Right? But I can stand with the Latticare people and be accepted and welcome and adopted into their families and their tribe. And that's what we're doing as a tribal nation, is adopting the Australian people in to say, this is your home now. Let's work together. Let's enjoy it together. But let's remember where we are and whose land we're on. No more of this rape, pillage, destruction. You can't say, oh, well, look, we find a good way to go forward, but we're going to keep fucking yous. That can't happen. Those days are gone. We have to work out a way on how do we go forward and we all prosper and share in abundance together. And like Nick just said, if we're growing good food in the ground and our families in nutrition and they got good water and good air, and we're creating healthy industries that we own that go back into a government structure and a central bank that we keep here and we own, then everybody is going to thrive. Everybody is going to be happy together. We're the fear that people have out there. Oh, if the tribal people get back to land, they're going to kick us all out. What didn't you do? An elderly couple were getting kicked out of their home because the bank was going to foreclose on them, and they went to the Yidinji Tribal Council and said, "Look, we know that you own the land, so we want to hand these properties to you." And they said, "Well, we don't want your properties." They said, "But I'll tell you what, let's test it and see if we can get the bank to piss off, and then we'll give you your $1.2 million house under full lodial title, and you can keep that forever. But the only rule is this: you can't dig up and mine the ground under you, and you can't use bad poisons that go down into the water table." And the elderly couple said, "That's a beautiful deal." And they said, "All right." Well, and they said, "If because of what we're testing, we'll take the quarter acre old Queenslander, and we'll make that our embassy." Now, what happened was the bank didn't go near him for 12 months, and they pissed off. They set it up. They arrested more. They set it all up. They got it while they got him locked up. The bank went to the elderly couple and said, "Look, if you stop doing what you're doing, we'll wipe all your debt. We'll give you the $1.2 million house, and we'll take the $350,000 one and recover what we can recover." But you can't tell the tribe. Now the elderly couple went back and told the tribe, and Yidinji Tribal Council said, "Take the deal." And they said, "Why? Why take the deal?" And they said, "Because they're offering you the same thing we're offering you, and they wouldn't offer you that if we were wrong. So in fact, we're right." Now, not what Jerry Puss said to me, and I agree with him. Unfortunately, we live in a world where not only is there a lot of prejudice for a lot of different reasons, not just the tribal people across the board, but we live in a very self-centered, selfish world where everyone just wants to get what they can get for them, and everyone's only worried about them. Now, all people care about, and that's why that's why the whole country hasn't woken up, right? And when they start taking people's bank accounts and their land titles and everything, you watch them wake up real quick. That's coming around the corner. But my point is, people care about what they've got, what they own. We're not going to kick people out of their homes. In fact, we're going to free everybody of the debt, like Craig said. Offer people tribal lodial title, just can't poison the land, and you can't dig it up and harm it. And anything else that occurs on every tribal boundary occurs in partnership with the tribal PMAs and the non-tribal PMAs and the agreements and the things that people work together. We're all grown-ups. We're all smart enough to sit down and have a conversation and say, "Well, no, we don't want that because that actually does this to the water." All right, well, what about this? Let's work together on that. That's a good thing. And we all prosper. Keep the wealth here. It doesn't have to be about individualism. You know, if we were to move forward and establish a legitimate government endorsed by the tribes and establish our own sovereign bank, which Malcolm Roberts actually suggested just not recently, and keep the wealth here that we create. And we got 25 million owners of that bank and that government, and we're keeping the wealth here for all of us. We don't have to worry about who's getting what, because everybody will have abundance. And that's what we offer, brother, is the adoption of the people. We're saying, okay, look, you're all stuck in this really filthy club. Okay, we're setting up a new club, but we're inviting you to come over to this club, not for us to be like them to you, but for you and I to be together and create the new together. That's what we're offering the Australian people. With that comes the adoption, with that comes enjoy your home, enjoy your land. Yes, you live here, that's your home. And then let's build the new from there on. So there's no intent to kick anyone out. There's no intent to harm anyone. The intent is actually the opposite, which is to look after everybody. So because if we look after everybody, then we're focused on creating the new good. Anyway, that's my answer to you, Rob.
Yeah. No, look, I'd just like to close. I did have. No, I'd just like to close my thoughts on that. Is I accept your intentions. You know, I believe you are looking for the good for all. That was not a doubt in my mind. I was really kind of making a comment though on how we can all slip into speech patterns that are unconsciously and unintentionally potentially divisive. And that's part of the biggest problem we face, because there are people in this world who are they'd struggle to come to terms with different people of different beliefs. You know, it's a challenge, and that's the real comment I was trying to make.
Oh, and that's both ways, and that's why I said at the start, if we have a common goal and all we focus on is that common goal, everything else will work out on that journey.
Everything else works its way out, mate.
And the common goal is this. Okay, I'm going to ask you this. Every person on this thing now, I'm going to ask you one question. Do you all want to stay under this corporate shit, or do you want to walk with the true landowners and create a new destiny for all of us collectively as one? Simple question.
And hang on, David, hang on. Being the true landowners, right, doesn't mean Aboriginal, doesn't mean shit. It means us as one people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
my point.
You know,
yeah. That's what I've often said as well. Like I'm born of this land. I'm created from this land, from the minerals, from the land of this.
We are one people, mate.
Yeah.
We are one, mate. It's not. What is it? Isn't it the human race? It's not the blackfella race. It's not the Chinese race. It's not the Indian race. It's human race.
Yeah.
How hard is that for anybody to understand?
That's
my
right.
point. Thank you for stating it for me.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Lurnpa, and thank you, Michael. Now we've got a couple more questions, and we won't go on forever. We're going fairly well. I think we've covered a lot of.
No, I've got to wrap it up anyway.
Okay, Michael, thank you very much for coming along tonight.
Yep.
And I look forward to catching up with you again soon. And we have a nomad that we've got to make touch base with again very shortly. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
You know who I mean. So, but we need to do that because
whenever it needs to happen.
Yeah. Well, I feel that he's missing you. So we need to touch base with that as soon as we can. Now, I did have a couple of hands up.
No, in the next place.
Rocket, had your hand up if you'd like to speak.
That's all right, mate. I was just going to comment on the Udingi prospect there with it. After reading it, I didn't think it was. Thought there was a bit of nepotism in that, and I kept referring to the Australian government and standing under it. And all fines and monies collected go back to the people, and only members of the elders can become the leaders of the elders, or what I'm led to believe in it. So I don't think it's a very good outcome for that. It's not giving us a remedy for a total lot of people. You know what I mean?
No, it's not.
There's a lot of talking. And I'm not saying this group, but there's a lot of talking going on. It seems to be everybody's talking about the same thing. You know, the division and all that sort of stuff. You know, that's the government creating this division for us. It's rife. So somehow we've got to overcome that. And you know, I'm Aboriginal, I'm Kalkadoon myself, but I've kept myself in my own. I do my own thing. I've lived my own life myself, rather than mix with too much of that side of it, because I've seen through football what can happen, and I choose to stay outside of that. David, the other fellow, will know what I mean. So,
yeah.
And you know, you get ahead, and others in that realm try and bring you down every time. So you've got to get ahead yourself. I feel a slight solution into it is getting out there and taking pictures of individual copper or lawyer or judge, or in their own time doing what they're doing, making mistakes, and compiling that as evidence as a part of it. So, you know, that's, you're proving them wrong. You're showing them, they're showing us wrong by cameras all the day. Let's do that to them. Let's show the copper with an unregistered fucking boat trailer or unregistered motorbike. You know what I mean? You can quick get on your phone and look up if it's registered or not. But anyhow, that's all I wanted to say about the Yardley Treaty. So,
Yeah. Brother, I'll just add to that. I speak of the situation with Yardley, with the allodial title and the house situation with the elderly couple. But I don't agree, and me and Muramu have had this conversation. I don't agree with them offering this corporation a treaty, which they have, and I don't agree with other things. That Yardley are doing amazing work in terms of their governance structure. Everything they're doing is correct. The way they're setting things up, I think that's all wonderful. But offering this corporation a treaty and issue there, and we're getting grassroots issues with the council not being open to a lot of the grassroots people there, and that's an issue as well. So I'm not saying Yardley is the answer. I'm just saying that's a situation which says that we can do that as a collective across the country for all these people with their homes and these bank loans, and set their debt free. So, but I'm with you, brother. I've got me and Muramu, we talked, and I said, look, I think you's offering this corporation a treaty, and no accountability for their wrongdoings is the way I explained it to him is like this. For me, it sounds like you're saying to somebody, look, stop raping me, but you can still sleep in my bed. Right, and that's my concern with where they are up there. So I just want to be clear that I'm not saying that everything they're doing is correct. A large majority of it is amazing work, and what they're doing is leading the way in terms of structure and governance, and having everything put in place, and setting up their tribal government. Because if we're going to walk with the non-tribal PMAs on this continent, and if we're going to walk with the international groups and partnerships, we've got to have our shit together. So they've done that really well. I just think extending a treaty to a corporation that's killing us is not the way to go.
Well, by putting forward a treaty to people like the corporation that's killing us, they're pretty much taking action against people that have been victims of the crime.
Correct.
They're removing any chance of resolution of
that's right,
retribution for that.
That's right. But that's another conversation. But yeah, I'm with you, bro. And yeah.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Rocket, for sharing with us tonight. Now, got Al. Go ahead, please.
How you going? Good evening, all, and happy New Year to all. I got a quick question for lurnpa. Is it lurnpa?
Yeah,
lurnpa. Yep.
Yes. A few times I listened to you speak, and this group, we've been on this Zoom for a while, and you know, we've listened to Dick Yardley for a while. We've listened to other people as well, and to me, everything is about the word. So all I do is listen to the words that people speak, because it's the word that's going to bind you. Whatever comes out of your mouth is going to hold you liable. Now, I heard you mention allodial title a few times tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what an allodial title is?
I don't know shit about it, brother. I just know that that's what they offered the old couple, and the bank shit themselves and ran away. My understanding.
Title,
go on. Someone else explain it.
Allodial title is not known in English law, but allodial title allows you all the minerals, everything to the centre of the earth and above the earth. All the minerals, the whole lot. You own the whole lot.
when I look up allodial title, it says
what we have in this country at the present time is fee simple, which allows you to degrade your land beyond the imagination. Like with our title, it was unlimited selection, and in other words, we could grow fish on it, we could grow cane on it, we could grow whatever we wanted on it, we could grow cattle, whatever we want on it. We didn't have to go to council for any damn thing. Some people have a grazing lease or something like that. That's what we have in this country up until now, or up until these bastards changed everything around to suit themselves. But our high court system, when we had a proper high court, allodial title is not under this system whatsoever.
And that's why
the minerals of this land were to the development of this land for all, not for the corporations running the bloody place and selling it overseas and leaving us as a quarry.
When you're saying,
yeah, sorry, you go, brother.
Sorry, man.
No.
When you say we don't have allodial title under this system, you mean the monarchy system, common law of England? What about common law of England? Is that what you're talking about?
No,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yep. So where does the term allodial title come from? Where does it come from?
Allodial title, America uses a lot of allodial title because they own, like if they drill down for oil, coal, all these sort of things, the person that has the block of land it's his property under the land. Under our system, it basically belongs to the whole country. It was a sort of a development thing, how I understand it. Was a development thing, not to bloody, like the Yanks love this country because they can come here, rip us out, rip all the minerals out, sell them overseas and piss off and leave us with the bloody mess. We've got to turn around and take that system, in my opinion, take that system back where we can use those minerals for this land and develop this land for us, people living on this land, not to be just hawked overseas by other corporations and shit that what's happening today.
But this is why that has to be done in approval with the tribal landowners, because what you see as a mineral could be a sacred site. And that's why we have to look at...
That's a system like sort of you've had this issue where, I've forgotten what country, I think it was Rio, blew up all the tribal lands there. But see, these are things, certain things become historical value for the country. And those, like doing that, to me, they should have been, sort of, because they're a corporation, they can pay a few bucks into the corporation and get around the system. But to me, and under a proper system, but I don't agree with tribal land. I agree with land.
Well, it is tribal land, and that's one thing you can't get away with, no matter what your opinion is on that, brother, legally or a thing. Here's the thing: 2012 National Minerals Dinner. I won't quote me. I'll quote Julia Gillard, the Prime Minister at the time. All the mining companies asked for a tax concession, and Julia Gillard said this, and I quote word for word: "The crux is the crux of it is we will not be giving you a tax concession. We do not own the minerals. You don't own the minerals. We hold the minerals in trust for a sovereign people. They own it and they deserve their share." That's the reality. That's the facts.
That might be a fact of what some stupid bitch we call a prime minister said. I couldn't.
No, that's the lawful fact, brother. Don't forget about the fact she's a stupid bitch.
No, what falls out of her mouth, I wouldn't class as anything like law.
So you're saying that the tribal people don't own their tribal estate and the land within it? The resources within
I
it?
don't believe in tribal land. I believe in the land belongs to all, and we have our own pieces of land within.
All right, we'll have a face-to-face over that one, because that one's one to be discussed.
Okay, now I'll butt in because I think that you guys you're doing a Michael Nibbs and a Mark McMurtry. You're talking about the same thing using different terms. So we get hung up on words, because with the tribal side, when you explained that, or when Michael explained it, I thought, thank goodness for that, because I open my mouth to say Aboriginal, or I open my mouth to say Aborigine, or I open it and or do you say native, or do you say mob, or whatever? But when he said tribal and that we're all tribal, I get it. Like I totally get it. And there's connotations to things. So within this situation where the land is tribal, and I'm born here. I'm born on this land. I'm not responsible for things that happened like 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago. And over time, as you've explained, there's been people from all different countries coming here, and who knows what seeds were planted by them and what lineages have come through. But we're tribal, and overall, we belong to this earth, not just this little landmass that there's no boundaries as such other than physical limitations on where we can travel, depending on what we've got available to us. And that's we've had that imposed on us as well. Mind you, there'd be certain areas where if you went, you might not come back from because the people don't appreciate you getting there.
Well, that's why we do have our boundaries. Our boundaries are there for that very reason, and you're invited into that boundary because you're respectful and you've been asked to come into it, and whatever businesses we create together is all done in respect. But at the end of the day, I can't speak for Latakia because I can't sing the song here. I can't dance the ceremony. I can't sing. Everything has a song. That creek has a song. That bird, lympa, the kingfisher, he has a song. All right, the crow has a song, and they all have a name, and those names are linked to people in the tribe. And the tribal connection is not just this is our boundary. We own this. That's the Western mentality. Ours is we dance and sing it, and I can't eat that kingfisher bird. And if that is your totem, you can't eat that. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about a spiritual connection that this country is yet to wake up to, a spiritual connection that people can't comprehend. And it's fine. It's like me. I love Larrakia land, but I don't know the ceremony for you. I don't dance it for you. I don't sing it for you, and I can't speak for it. But I can live here, and I can love it, and I can enjoy it, and I can do what Dick does and grow food here, and I can flourish on here. But when it comes time for speaking for this country, I go and see Uncle Juma and I say, "Hey, Uncle, what do you want to do? What do you think?"
Now, Lurnpa, and in amongst all of that, do you have an expectation on me that I should know that?
No, absolutely not. But just like the 23 people that came up and got a real little taste of it and went away with their spirit so rich, we want to open it to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that's the thing. Just like
with what Dick was saying about that politician, where he comes from is a point that politician's not valid and doesn't have any place to stand to speak.
Yeah, that's right. And together we have a place to stand and speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these people that are participating with a fraudulent system and knowing so, particularly these career orientated, the ones that are career politicians, they're just criminals wearing better clothes sometimes.
Yeah. They're well organised crime syndicate. That's all they are. I agree with you. And look, Dick, I can't wait to meet you, brother. I respect you, and I'm so grateful for the incredible work you've done. And we'll have a further conversation when we're sitting down having a cup of tea. Hey guys, I don't want to be rude.
I look forward to it.
Me too, my friend. Me too. I don't want to be rude.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, me too, brother. I don't want to be rude to everyone, but I do have a family event on, and I've missed 2/3 of it. I've got a family member leaving, and I just need to go inside and spend some time with them. So if I can respectfully check out of this conversation, but thank you.
I want to thank you very much and acknowledge you for the time that you've spent and the way that you've shared your sentiments. And I'm glad that we cleared up some air in the beginning with a topic that, or a subject we didn't want to deal with, but we will be dealing with it in another area. And I'm going to be sharing that information as much as possible. But my intention for that is to make sure that people that need to be walking with us aren't going off into the distance over a cliff. So
yeah, that's right.
That's that purpose.
So and not leading others over the cliff.
One thing in the old tribal law that I was sort of like, I travelled a lot. So I talked to different people, and in my earlier life, like I say, in the late 60s and whatnot, I was on road trains driving out to way back out stations and things like that, where a lot of Aboriginal tribes were and whatnot. Where I was in that time, if there was somebody bad in the tribe, they went on a hunting trip with the hunters and they never came back. And the whole tribe was kept clean.
Correct.
I think it's time we did our hunting trip with a hell of a lot of these politicians and shit.
Time for a picnic in Canberra. Oh no. No, we've got, oh.
I think cleaning out what's wrong and creating what's right for everybody and bringing everything back into order is should be our common goal. And I'll stand with all you
Very
good
much
men.
so.
I'll stand with all you
Yes,
good men
very
and
much.
every other good man and woman across this country. And we've never been. Here's the beauty. Someone said to me, "Oh, you know, we're not enough waking up." And I said, "Hang on, wherever." I would never. Us guys on here now, we would never be talking 5-10 years ago.
Yep.
So
No,
the unity
definitely
is
not.
coming together. The unity is coming together because we're conversating. And the more we share and the more we push, the sooner we can take our freedom.
But what we're also
I-
doing, Lumpa, is we're finding the solid people are finding each other. Right?
That's right. And the filth gets filtered out like the scary Simons.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't want to end on a negative note. I want to end on a positive note and say thank you to you, beautiful, solid,
And
deadly
thank
men.
you. Yeah, thank you very much for your time as well.
Oh no, you're welcome, bro. My honor to be on here and yarn with you all. And look, when we get together with all the like-minded people, good men and women, and we drive this forward, we will take our freedom and we will heal this country. We will build a nation, and most importantly, we will protect and save the children.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just before you go, Lumpa, I just want to put a thing out there. You guys need to do like a national Zoom. Invite all these smart minds together, because I'm telling you, bro, I'm dealing with these people and there's some way smart people out there with documents and all that stuff and how the court system works and everything, how we can serve it on the Supreme Court, all that stuff. So if we have a national Zoom, get you back on maybe, and then, yeah, get these other people to have their input in it. I reckon we can do this because we're all looking for a solution, man, just like yous. I work with Arnie Bucky and that here. I've sat in a few of their court cases and that. We need to all get together as one, as you say. And if they can get 1.5 million people in Camp Epic, I'm sure we can get 5 million in the centre of Australia. Because
yeah, look, we can. I agree. It's and look, all those good minds on a Zoom or in a room putting that information together. Rainer doesn't have to do any work; just has to file for us.
Yeah, I'm familiar with all his work, and I was following the evidence reading of it. And day 7 and 8 was all about the Commonwealth, and they know fucking everything. So yeah, we've got to get it together.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that he's the only solution. I think he's one prong in the spear, and the other prong is us creating the new and walking, getting a clearance, creating the new, having a common dream, and
as Michael said before, if we all go back to the 1900 Constitution, that was when it was all fair for everyone. That's the 1890 Partnership Act was, we're all equal. The Crown wasn't above us. They were our servants. The politicians were our servants, and it just all got flipped 180 degrees. We've got to flip it 180 degrees back as soon as possible.
Okay, so I'm going to let Lurnpa go now, because he needs to go and take care of something that he's given up on our behalf. So I want to thank you again, Lurnpa. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me earlier on today and then come to the meeting tonight and share your knowledge and your spirit, mate. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, my brothers. We'll talk soon.
Enjoy. Look after your family.
Oh, yeah, brother. Always.
Good night. Thank you.
Take care. Much respect.
Okay. So we're probably not going to start a new topic tonight, but hopefully people got a bit out of that meeting tonight, and I will be putting the replay up. I put a link into Odyssey channel. I'm putting things on BitChute and YouTube as well as I go, and I'm just slowly generating a new sort of look. You might have seen the people who got the email today that came out. They're just trying to brighten things up, do a bit of marketing amongst cutting hedges and cutting lawns, doing edges and all that sort of crap. So, but I want to welcome everyone back to Well, it's only a mark on a calendar, I suppose. But we've still got the work in front of us. But I really feel that we are going to win this because that's the only option that we do have. And what did you want to talk about tomorrow night, Dick?
Well, I'd like to do this one on land.
Okay.
Just how so people can see how they've screwed us right over.
Yep.
And just get that sorted out.
Okay.
If, you know, sort of like the last time we did it, we got transferred all around the place. And if we can just sort of settle back out on just the facts.
Okay, so
And
we'll
it's
start
quite-
off.
it's
We'll
quite
start off
simple
as a
when you
sort
get
of
into it.
We'll start off as a class rather than a discussion. And so we'll go through the elements that we need to. Then we can maybe field questions a little bit later on. So as we can always go back through the document for the questions. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. But what I'm finding, what's happened last year, is people are not, okay, they listen but they don't take in the ramifications of what's said. So I think in some ways we need to go so far and then have a lot more people involved in asking questions and trying to get their head around the system, because it's all very well to say, sit there and yeah, right. And then, like I've spoken at meetings and and I know people will sit there and they'll go back to life just as soon as they walk out the door, they're back into normal life. They've forgotten what, you know, sort of what we spoke about. So, and I think with a few things that's happened, we need to sort of really start understanding what we're talking about.
Well, it's also it's also taking action with it, Dick, because I think a lot of the time there's certain groups that I've been talking to that I'm pretty sure I've annoyed some people just lately because I've taken a slightly different tack. Because I keep saying to them, like, okay, you're sharing all this stuff. You've got more than enough reason why you need to do something. So instead of sharing all the stuff that shows you should do something, why don't you do something? Like focus on a solution. What's your solution? And they sort of think it's too hard. I said, yeah, but if you're not even trying, how are you going to come up with a solution when you're not focusing on a solution? Like, what are you going to do? Come up with even a bad idea is better than none.
You look at Colette. Shit, man, that lady's really gone out on it. Now, I used to speak to a lot of the farmers up where she is in Tully. I used to go to Tully. I used to speak in the council chambers where she sat there and spoke to the mayor, and the mayor used to come in the council chambers when I run the things so he could learn. I didn't know it bloody enough at the time, and I was still using their bloody acts. Really pisses me off. And then in Alarish, and I found that more women had more guts than the men, and that really worries me, because we're supposed to be there supporting our women.
Yeah.
And the more women, the wives of the farmers had more guts to stand up and say, well, what about this? Or, you know, why can't we do this? Why are they allowed to do this? And this sort of thing. This is all in the time when the Powerlink issue was going through. And the bastards putting up these really big power towers because of this bullshit system we had with the government created these bloody big national parks for borrowing money out of bloody being under World Heritage and all this sort of shit. They took the power links out of there and put them straight through everybody's land. And they had bloody bulldozers. They had everything. If you had a crop in the road, it was just cleared.
Yep.
The land was, a crop was cleared. They put up the towers, and that's what we were fighting over, our land rights then. I just didn't know enough.
Yep.
And the cops, they're dumb as dog shit, like as usual. But then, like sort of one lady there, I was in the cop shop with her because we went back to the cop shop because the two cops I got stuck into turned around and said, well, we've got a prosecutor back at the police station. Why don't you talk to him? I said, yeah, why not? So we went back there, and because I stood toe-to-toe to him, and the lady was pulling my shirt and saying, Dick, please stop swearing. Dick, please stop swearing. Because standing toe-to-toe with this bloody clown cop prosecutor. But, they were just useless pieces of bloody garbage dressed up in costumes. That's all cops are today. And I can prove that with all this bullshit we had with this bloody episode out here in North Queensland. and the crap that came out after it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sort of, this is, when the hell are the men going to start thinking, what the hell's going on here? I've worked all my bloody life for all this and that, and we don't own a damn thing. This is what's going on.
Yeah. No,
But anyway, if we just go through that, but we need people to get more involved.
We've got more involved, and we've got to get more out, and to a point making a spectacle of ourselves. And I'm not talking about big loud demonstrations, but I'm talking about displaying our evidence of the fraud, of the treason, working on your messages, that sort of thing, when people have got caught going on, or even just in your community, if you can get together. Like one of the things that we were looking at was when the markets are on, having a stall and just having great big signs like that, the big ones that the politicians use, and having a page out of Dick's book or a page out of some of the PDFs that we've got of the evidence of the fraud and the treason, and putting them up just so that the odd people will see them. You don't have to be out there spruiking like a salesman, but you'll be there to answer questions or talk to people if needed, but just to put it up so people can see it. And together we can do that. It doesn't cost that much money if you can just get a few people together. But have a think about what we can do.
Yeah, but just take a look at Colette again. She gets a meeting with the council, with all the councillors are there, and she's allowed to speak for a quarter of an hour. She gets given a quarter of an hour. She sent all the councillors some of my write-ups. And then she asked them, what are you going to do about it? You've got the clown, who's the CEO, who keeps track of all of what the council's doing, because he's governed by the United Nations or somewhere like that. He's there and he turns around and says, oh, we don't have to take any notice of what you've just given us because of such and such an act. You know what he did? He made himself accountable to treason and all the councillors, because the act that he used is when they took treason out of the criminal code, which is an act of treason on its own. So therefore, he's now in the position of being accountable for treason, and put all the councillors there. And Colette, all she did was send them a few things and then ask them what they were doing about it.
Yeah.
And the clown opened his mouth.
Yep.
So it's just a case of you catch them all out because they don't know what they're damn well talking about.
No, but then what you need is Colette to have more people that have more awareness around her, and then they're saying to them, what are you going to do about it? Instead of just Colette being on her own. So
definitely,
that's what we're talking about. And we've got to be a bit like Colette, but then we've got to have other people that we've cloned that can do the same sort of thing. So spreading the information. Have a look at what Dick's put out. Have a look at some of the PDFs that you have. And if you can go through, you'll find one page, you go, that speaks volumes. We'll make that page your sign that you carry on a sandwich board or something like that. We need to get more people together so that an individual isn't out there as a target. We need to draw more attention with more people, and we can spell things out with our signboards. Again, that's a suggestion. If that triggers somebody to think of something better, please think of it and suggest it, because it's our future. It's not mine. It's ours. It's not yours. It's ours. That's what we're working for. So tomorrow night we'll be going through the significance of the land and how that's stolen, all that sort of thing, education, and Dick will provide a few laughs again, as usual. Won't you, Dick?
Oh, hell, I didn't think I was that good.
You got time to work. You got time to work on your material, mate. So we'll get something happening.
I've got to go out tomorrow, and I've got to cut lawns, and I've got to trim hedges and stuff. I don't know whether I will have time.
No, well, that's good, mate. While you got working on the hedges, that's when you think, mate, because that's a sort of one of those mindless tasks. Just make sure you don't put your fingers in the blades, and you're cool. It's all good.
Oh, is that well, is it?
Yeah. Okay, now, James, you just got something to finish on, and then we'll close the meeting down.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Dick, I'm glad he said that about Colette, because I didn't really know the lady, never met her in person until a couple months back. I had to go to a court case in Townsville, and the common law group from Townsville, Colette as well, she organised it all. They met me at the court in Townsville. There was 10 of them. They walked into the court with me. They were there as witnesses. I didn't know any of these people, and it was just the backup from the common law group up there was just like next to none. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that all these people that are going into the courts, they got to have other people there to back them up to fill out affidavits and stuff, because if they don't and it goes pear-shaped, they're very vulnerable. But if you've got a heap of people in the courtroom going up against the system, it makes a big difference. Anyway, have a good night, everyone. Cheers. Thanks for inviting.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you again, Dick, for participating tonight. And I think that was pretty encouraging, everything we heard, what we went through. And we're drawing a bigger, what do you say? It's like more people being able to move forward and bringing more community with them. That's what we need to do. So, and I'm really feeling that, as Lympa said, like if we mentioned, I can't remember exactly what he said, but when we're having a conversation here that we wouldn't have had 10 years ago. And because of all of this, this is where we are.
Exactly.
So COVID's our big catalyst that we need to get something done. Like, I've been a conspiracy theorist for a hell of a long time for no reason until all this crap happened, and then I found out I was real. So now we got to do it. We got to bring it through. It's up to it is up to us. So thanks very much for participating tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night. It's the same link for tomorrow night, and if you can share the link with others, I would really appreciate that. We get more people on board, and remember, you're encouraged to ask questions, to participate. Tomorrow night we'll try and hold the questions off for a little while, but make a note of it, and we can always go back through the document, back through things like a revision. So your questions are important. We want to make sure that people do learn what we're going on about. So thanks very much. Say good night, Dick.
Good night, all.
Thank you very much. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you.